Welcome to the latest episode of FlagPlus Football's First and Goal podcast. I'm your host, Brent Bodkin.
I'm Quaysie Maule.
All right, so let's hop into it. We are wrapping up week 12 right now. We're heading towards week 13. In most cases, that starts this weekend. And with that means there are only about 3 weeks left in the regular season, right? So, like as we've been saying lately, the playoff races are heating up. Some teams trying to climb the standings, some teams trying to make sure they get in. Some teams as well, right? Trying to make sure they don't end the season winless, right? So obviously, pretty much every single matchup has importance, no matter where you are in the standings. So as usual, let's start with 6v6. Let's start with Division 6B.
Yeah. So Division 6B, kind of you were saying, regarding the playoff situation. So we have a few teams that are winless. We have Goodfellas that haven't won a game yet, so they're on 7. Hopefully, they're able to win a game. And then we have a team like Fantasy Stars that are kind of right now they're 2-6. They have 2 games left, and they're pretty much the only team that's out looking in because you have Mobiles, AAA, and Hope Patrol that they also have 2 games wins as well. So if they could get an air win, they could jump up one of these teams and get one step closer into a playoff spot.
Yes, yeah, you mentioned Goodfellas, like you said, 0-7, right? I know we talked about them last week. They're in action actually tonight, so we're filming this on a regular schedule on Wednesday. It's March 25th today. They're taking on Vicious and Delicious. So obviously, Vicious and Delicious, looking at the standings, they're a top 5 team, 6-2 record for Vicious and Delicious, taking on the Goodfellas. Again, that game is taking place tonight. It's going to be at Steady Bear. Vicious and Delicious are coming off a 26-20 loss 2 weeks ago to the Stables, right? So they're looking to get back into the win column and right now looking at the standings, like I said, they're in fifth, right? Are Vicious and Delicious with 12 points. They're 4 points back of the Stables who beat them, right? Stables have 1 game remaining, Vicious and Delicious have 2. So um if the Stables are able to hang on, they'll pretty much finish in first. They're tied with the Pookie Bears, actually, so kind of a battle for first between those 2 teams. But Vicious and Delicious, 1 point behind fourth place, the Mighty Schmucks, and 3 points behind third place, Skrillas, right? So if you're Vicious and Delicious, right now, you're in fifth. They could drop down in the standings too, but they could definitely climb the standings a little bit as well. So a big game for them against the winless Goodfellas, who, like you said, Quaysie, are looking for their first W of the season. So for me, that's the game that stands out the most this week.
Yeah, for sure. Again, for List Delicious, I played against the Goodfellas, which is weird to say, but long story short, I have a Division 6B team that I coach. When games are 11 p.m., kids can't really show up to 11 p.m. games, so I kind of get a couple guys, and we end up playing 5 versus 6, whatever fits the cap, because I have to be there. My rating's kind of high, so I end up playing Goodfellas. Again, really, their name actually is pretty good. Like, it's a good name for them because they're actually really good guys. I played a game on Monday against them, and unfortunately, we only had 5 players at start the game because cap issues, and we had a guy that ended up getting hurt. He tore his Achilles. I mean, like,
Ooh.
so yeah, shit
Mm.
situation. And then I had one of my buddies, my high school buddy, named Amir. He was on the podcast last week or 2 weeks ago. And then I had Emma, and I had Constance. So we were
Okay,
only
nice. Okay,
yeah,
okay,
exactly. No,
okay.
we were having fun out there, but we were only
All right.
4. And basically, what happened was the ref basically told us that we aren't allowed to play with 4 players. But supposedly, you're allowed to play with 4 players. You just can't start with 4 players. So I think he made a little mistake there. He ended up the game. We were pretty much at halftime with maybe I want to say 12 to 13 minutes left, and they pretty much ended the game because they basically said we can't play with 4 players, but we could play 4 players. But so they get for on the website they told us that we're gonna lose, but on the website they gave us the win. So I'm not exactly sure. Yeah, I'm not exactly sure what's gonna happen there. I mean, the Ballers, like the team that I coach, they don't need the win. I'm pretty sure they're going to make the playoffs, so it's kind of just jumping up the standings. And then the Goodfellas are pretty excited for getting their first win. They're like, "Oh, I'm so sorry it happened, but like we're happy for our first win." So right now it shows that you guys are 1-7. Maybe it'll be changed, maybe it won't. But like, good luck tonight. Hopefully, you guys can maybe have another upset because I knew they were super excited to get their first win. But again, good group of guys. They even like offered us, they're like, oh, is everything good? Like we feel so bad. Like we could still play. Like it's all good. But like rules were rules when the ref announced it. But I believe he made a mistake.
Yeah, 'cause I don't know about the four-player rule. I mean, I remember hearing that in the past, and I thought it got changed. Again, you can't have only four players to start a game. I know that's the case in 6v6. I'm not sure. No, but this is 6v6. So I think
Yeah.
that rule is right. I think technically you guys do forfeit the game. So Goodfellas should get the W. Hopefully that'll be
Yeah.
reflected in
But
the
then I
standings
suppose
sooner than later.
they said you can't start a game with four, but if you start with five and a player gets hurt, it's the kind of thing
Yeah,
if
and
two
then
guys
yeah,
get it,
yeah,
if two
yeah,
guys get ejected, right? Right, then
yeah,
it's 6-on-4, but you still play. I've seen games where it's still 6-on-4 with two guys getting ejected,
100%,
and then they
100%.
wait
Yep.
10 plays for. So it's like the same. I feel like in that case, it's kind of like the same situation. So
Yeah.
again, I mean, it's something to be talked about and like kind of asked. Probably have to ask Leo or someone that's kind of like that's whoever wrote the rules or something around those lines, so they could
Yeah,
kind of just
we'll
be
get to the
like,
bottom of it.
so like they can actually explain it because right now I think it's like maybe some refs don't know, some refs do know, but again, it's something that doesn't happen often, right? So
Yeah. Yeah.
that was the
Okay. All
situation.
right. So either okay. So either or again, like we said, they're playing Vicious and Delicious tonight. Whole Patrol is taking on Ballers, and Moa Ball is taking on AAA. So obviously, again, like I said, a lot of big games, playoff standings right now. The points are at a premium, right? So I mean, all these games matter. Again, like I said, 3 games to wrap up week 12, and then week 13 kicks off Saturday. Not a ton of games actually this coming week. There's only 6 games. Week 13. Vicious and Delicious back in action against Whole Patrol, Mighty Schmucks, Moa Ball, Goodfellas against the Goblins. So that's another good chance for the
Yeah,
Goodfellas to maybe not just get one, but get 2 wins, possibly. The Goblins at the bottom of the standings as well. Ballers, AAA, the Studio J Jokers, Pookie Bears, and Fantasy Stars, a team I know you talk about a lot, taking on Skrillas next Wednesday. That'll wrap up week 13.
yeah. Just going back to week 12, just fast. Mobile versus AAA is also going to be a really good game. Right now, they're the two teams at the bottom of the seed, right? Mobile's at 12, AAA's at 11. So whoever could win that game could get that tie break against each other. So if for some reason they do finish, like let's say they will finish 3-7, they'll have the tie break within each other. So if ever there's a tie break, so that's also going to be a really big game.
100%. 100%.
Let's
All right,
go to
let's go to
division.
Division 6A.
Yeah,
So looking at 6A, so I know last Saturday there was a game between the PPR Merchants and Only Flags. Didn't happen. So it's to be in Brassard. So that game is going to be rescheduled. Um, there's one
that was
game
a
left
forfeit.
tonight. Sorry?
That was a forfeit.
Could have been a forfeit. I don't know. There's no score at all. Because forfeit, like for example, Tops and Tops beat best worst is Gus 60-0. That's a forfeit 100%, right? But Only
Yeah.
Flags and PPR Merchants, there's no score. So I mean, maybe at least at
I
my
think
end,
it's
that's
I
what it
think it's
says.
a I think it's a forfeit. They just didn't put it yet. I believe it was a
Okay,
forfeit
all
because
right.
on the in Broadstar there was 11 p.m. forfeit game. So I think it's I
Okay.
just don't
Well,
know who
okay.
forfeit.
So
I'm
there
not
you
sure
go.
if
That's
it's
what it is then.
FPR or it was OnlyFans flag. Sorry.
All right. We'll find out. Hopefully, it'll be the set will be updated. So Chapeau Perdue. I know we talked about this matchup last week a bit. They're taking on Sweet Bonanza tonight at Statty Bear. It's going to be 11 p.m. Speaking of late games, 11 p.m. Start for that one, and that'll wrap up week 12. Any games stood out to you from this past week?
Not necessarily. Kind of going to just looking at it week 12. The fact that Sweet Bonanza is struggling as much as I think we've talked about it a lot. Sweet Bonanza is struggling at how they are. I mean, they're unless it's they've been in the league for a couple seasons now. I think it's like 2 or 3. So I'll expect them to do a bit better. Right now they're 1-6, so they don't have that many wins, and then getting blown out from Oni Flags 42-14 just on Sunday. I mean, it's a big win for Oni Flags. So that's pretty much it. Also, a team like Gamblers as well, like a team that's also struggling, right? Gamblers is a team that I figured this season they're going to do much better than they are right now. Looking at their record, I think they won one game as well, so they're 1-8. So I mean, not the best season. And then Matthew Antonio's a
Antonio, yeah.
solid guy. I just don't
Yeah.
feel like he's having a season. I don't feel like I just don't feel like he's having a great season this year. It's kind of looking at his stats. Um, here, looking at his stats, like I mean, he has 24 catches, 363 yards, and 5 touchdowns. I'm pretty sure last season he had double the catches, maybe not double the yards, and way more touchdowns. So I feel like he's a bit struggling. I could be wrong, but I feel like he was one of the top receivers, and he was a type of
Yeah.
guy that like he was able to win his team some games, you know. So again,
No, yeah, yeah.
I might be wrong on the record that gamblers have, but I think I just felt like they did way better last season than they are doing this season.
Well, I know I'm looking at it last year, right? So Matthew Antonio is this guy. He's good. He's a good dude, stand-up guy. I got to know him a little bit the last couple of seasons. Last in the spring, so spring 2025, he had 550 receiving yards, 12 touchdowns in Division F, lowest division, but still good numbers.
Yeah,
Last fall, he played on two different teams in Tier 4. But show me your TDs. He had 421 yards, 9 touchdowns. And tier 5 with the Gamblers, the same team, 517 yards, 8 TDs. So this guy, he knows how to get the ball in the end zone. Like you said, so far with the Gamblers, again in Division 6A, 363 yards, 5 touchdowns on 24 catches. Not horrible at all, like not bad at all. Those are pretty solid stats, but compared to the numbers, I think what you're trying to say is compared to the numbers that he usually puts up, it's a little less
yeah,
this year, I think.
yeah, exactly. So I was just expecting a bit more, and the fact that he's played 9 games, right? So there's only 1 game left, so I don't think he cracks over 500 for this season. And then again, I don't think he cracks over. Maybe he'll score 1 or 2 touchdowns. So I just like, I mean, it is what it is. Sometimes it's quarterback issues, sometimes it's team issues. But a player like him in the division that he's playing, I just expect him to be a bit better. And I also expected Gamblers to do way better that they're doing right now. The fact that they're at the bottom of the list with 1-8 with 1 game left, and their defense, offense, like they're not. I don't feel like they're not doing as good as I thought they were doing. They were going to do. Same thing with Sweet Bonanza as well too. They're 1-6 with 7 games left, but I felt like both of these two teams were going to do much better compared to like Vengeance, right? Vengeance, I believe last season they were 1-9, and now they're 3-4-1. You know, so a team like that,
Right, right.
maybe I expect them to do a bit like worse, maybe around maybe 2-8. You know, since they struggled as much compared to Sweet Bonanza and Gamblers, but it's like they kind of reverse the roles.
No, that's fair. That's fair. I mean, this is a team I've seen them a lot. The last couple from scorekeeping, obviously, right? And
Mhm.
they're not a team that stats together a lot of wins. It just, I think, like they have. I think this is the third season, right? Period. Playing FPF. Usually, that third season is when you really start to figure things out and really start to turn things around. And it hasn't been the case with the squad, unfortunately. Unfortunately for them. I mean, I believe did they make the playoffs last year? No, I don't think they did. I could be wrong. I'm just trying to check here online. I, this is the one thing I don't like about the new website. The history is there, but to find,
It's
I
so
don't know
hard
what
to
website,
find it, I know.
yeah, to
Usually it's
find
like
previous seasons, it's
buttons.
all there.
Yeah, you know where you're going. You know, here you're kind of
Yeah.
like guess who to a certain point.
Yeah, there's some things that are really great. But we're not trying to crap on the website. Shout out to Lee Sweet and Rob Campana. Obviously, like there's a lot of cool things on the website. It's just sometimes when you try to go back to find previous seasons for teams, not players. For players, it's actually easier now, but for teams, I find it's hard. Anyways, I don't
I feel
remember
like
these guys winning too many games in other seasons that I've seen them.
yeah. So also for the website, you have to get used to it as well too, right? I know it's been like a
I'm
season
on it
now,
enough. Like
a
I
year,
hear
but
you. I'm on it enough, but it's anyways. Yeah, a little bit more reps. And it's yeah, okay. So
um,
like you said, 6A, right? Looking at the standings here, so like yeah, well, the Gamblers, like I said, 1-8, and Sweet Bonanza 1-6. So best worst Augusta, the only team still looking for that W, right? Yeah, they're 0-8 right now on the season. I believe they have a matchup coming up. The next matchup is this Sunday. They're taking on Hungover Heroes. And then they have a bye for pretty much about 3 weeks. Sorry, well, 2 weeks really. April 15th, they finish off with Gamblers. So, I mean, potentially a chance for best worst
yeah,
Augusta to get their first W of the season, but we'll have to see what happens.
yeah, for sure. We also have a huge. You mentioned before the last game that's going to be playing tonight. Chapeau Pedzu versus Sweet Bonanza. It's going to actually be a huge game. It's kind of just looking at the standings, right? 3 teams don't make it. I believe everyone else is safe except for Chapeau Pedzu. So, I mean, sophomore, Vengeance, PPR, multiple score, like all these guys are safe. They're going to make playoffs. The only team that's kind of right now looking in, maybe looking out, is Chapeau Pedzu. If they lose this game versus Sweet Bonanza, it brings Sweet Bonanza 2-6 and gives them the tie break between these 2 teams. So they will jump them because they'll have the head-to-head. That'll bring Chapeau down a notch with 1 game left after where they're going to play Vengeance, which should be a pretty good game. And then you have Sweet Bonanza that's going to have 2 games left versus Sophomore Excel, which is going to be a pretty hard game for them. And then Boost Cruz is again, one of the top teams right now in the division. So this game here I would say this game is a playoff game because if some reason Sweet Bonanza wins this game, they go 2-6. They go 2-6, and then Chapeau Pedzu loses this game. They'll go 2-7. Let's say both these teams lose rest of the games. The last will Chapeau Pedzu has 1 more game. Sweet Bonanza is going to have 2 more games. If they both lose, Sweet Bonanza is going to have that tie break if it's just those 2 teams with 2 wins and 8 losses. So this is going to be a huge game for both of these teams.
100%. All right, man.
Let's Division 5.
Yeah, 5 seed. So looking at 5 seed, we got 2 more games left to wrap up week 12. They're both tonight as well. Chattagee, we have overachievers taking on deep balls. And also tonight in Sadie Bear, we have Pudebeck taking on the LVL Jack Boys. So 2 games tonight. Obviously looking at the standings, right? Overachievers 0-7, right? So they're looking for that first W. Shockers 0-8. Like I said, overachievers taking on deep balls. So you look at deep balls right now, not much better in the standings, right? They're 1-7. So I mean, for overachievers, you could at least be tied points wise and wins wise with deep balls, and you'll have the tiebreaker. So you would go from 20th to at least 18th. So I mean, there's something. Obviously, 14 teams made the playoffs. Bastion right now in that 14th and final playoff spot. Their record is 4-5. They have 8 points. They're 2 up on TDs and Big Ds, who have 6 points, and what could have been to also have 6 points, right? So for Bastion, looking at these guys here, right, they're in that last playoff spot. Like I said, I'm looking at their next game on the schedule here. For them, they're in action. Their final game of the season is going to be this Sunday in Chattagee, 8 p.m. They're taking on Dixie Rec. Dixie Rec right now in 12th place with a 4-4 record. So if you're Bastion, right, you're tied actually for points with Dixie Rec. You could, with a W, you could jump from 14th all the way. You could actually leapfrog LVL Jap Boys if they lose, Dixie Rec, Legion of Goon who have 9 points, the Flag Dealers who also have 9 points, and potentially Old Pats who have 9 points as well. So a W here tonight by Bastion, pardon me, on Sunday by Bastion, they can go to potentially from 14th all the way, maybe even up to 9th in the standings. So that's huge for those guys.
Mm-hmm. Also, kind of so interesting fact with what could have been, I believe they're going to have 2 players suspended for the rest of the year. There was a brawl that ended up happening. I was scorekeeping the game, so again, it goes to the community. We have a community basically that makes a decision on when there's situations that end up happening. So I don't think anything was said yet, but I believe that it's going to be announced. So I think they're going to have 2 players that are going to be suspended, and one of them is going to be their quarterback. So I'm not sure.
So what team is this for? Sorry.
What could have been?
Okay, what could have been? Okay.
Yeah. So when they
Okay,
played
yeah, so you're Saturday.
when they played D-balls, there was kind of like a small little brawl that ended up happening. A punch was thrown. A hit stick was also done. Quarterback threw a pick to the opposite team. Guys running down the sideline. Quarterback, instead of going for his flag, just literally takes him completely out like a hit stick. Both benches kind of just get up, run between, basically run off like whatever in the middle, not middle of the field, like kind of towards where the hit happened. 4 refs were involved. People are getting kind of like tossed left and right. Two players, and at the end of the day, 2 players basically got kicked out the game. and then so on. What's going to happen to them? So could be pretty good for teams like teams that kind of need to win wins because you're losing your quarterback, and I think they lost their quarterback and one of their good players as well too. So losing two of your players this late in the season, it's a lot of adjustments. And to be honest with you, I don't think they're going to win their game. So they're probably going to end up, unless they get subs and they bring someone like a superstar, but during playoffs, it's going to
Right,
be different.
right.
So they're probably going to end their season 3-7. So, I mean, that gives a lot of teams like Bonnie Clues, Deep Balls, trying to make the last final push to see if you guys could try to make playoffs.
Hey, you got to be smart, man. You got to be smart. You can't be throwing punches and getting kicked out of games. It's a shame too, because that game, like you look at it, right? It's the deep balls beating what could have been 35-13, right? Well, he got the W, so I guess he got the last laugh as well. Ludovic Lemoynier had a touchdown as a receiver. I'm looking at it, he had two picks. One of them he ran back to the house. So solid game by him and got the W as well, right? So obviously now for what could have been what could have been, sorry. That's what you guys get for wearing a Washington Nationals, having the Washington Nationals logo. It's your team logo. I mean, unless you guys are Expos fans, you're wondering what could have been. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's not the case. You know, hopefully it is. Hopefully I'm wrong. I'm hoping it is. But I mean, come on, you got to be a bit more original than that. And yeah, this throwing punch is just not a smart move anywhere,
Yeah.
especially on an FPF. And yeah, so we'll see. Best of luck to the rest of the guys who kept their cool and are still going to be able to play. Best of luck the rest of the way. So like I said, two games tonight. Next week, again, the action starts on week 13 starts on Sunday. So I'm counting right here. There's going to be 9 games taking place next week. So the action starts Sunday, finishes next Thursday. So a lot of big games coming up next week. You have to keep your eye on in this division. Like I said, there's still a lot of competition for the top 14 spots here to make the playoffs.
Yeah. Especially that first seed. That first seed is still wide open for a lot of these teams, right?
Yep.
So Studs is the only team that's undefeated right now, 7-0. So they definitely could end up finishing 10-0 and bumping out Panthers and Vice City with two. With they both have one game left, right? So still a lot of play, still a lot of play for. And again, for the playoff breakdown, just kind of look at it. One in four seeds do get a bye, so you kind of want to finish the top four. So again, all those teams at the bottom, like Betsubec right now, that Purtsubec, sorry, that are 5-2, they're just above Takeoff Squad that are 6-2. So a lot of football left. You're kind of saying we still have 3 weeks left, and the season ends April 15th. So it's gonna be excited to see how at the end of the day where everyone ends up in the standings.
100%. All right, let's go
So
to Division 5B.
yeah,
Yeah, so looking at 5B here, in terms of the remaining schedule we have, uh there are there's one game left tonight. So that's we ain't done with the 90s taking on Le Manjo de Bain. So that should be a good matchup that's taking place tonight at 10:15 in Chateauguay. So make sure you go out and try to check that game out. Again, we ain't done with the 90s. Right now, they're sitting with the record. Pardon me, is 7-1. Right, so they're in third place. They're tied points wise with Demons, but we ain't done with the 90s have the advantage right there. And then looking at Les Mangeaux des Bains, they're 4-4. They had a solid start to the season. Now they dropped to 4-4. They're in 13th place, right? So they're tied points wise with PSTM, Miguel Swim Team, and Deep Zone Penetrators. So a big game for both teams tonight in Chateauguay.
mm-hmm. Are you surprised how? Sorry, I just want to see this. Are you surprised how bad Jamaican bobsled team is struggling this season?
I mean, we said it early in the season, right? Even last year in the fall season,
They,
they got off to a good start when they first joined FPF. They were in like I think the worst or the weakest division, right?
yeah, they made a
You
jump this
move,
season.
yeah, you made a jump, right? And it's gonna happen, right? They lack extra. I won't say they lack skill because there are some guys with some skill on that team. They're deep and they're close, like they're close in the team with some chemistry. They just lack execution and they don't know how to win yet in a higher division. So it's gonna take some time, right? They're taking their lumps now. It's a team that I like to watch play, and yeah, I cheer for a lot of teams here, but it's one of the teams in particular. It's gonna take some time, right? And this comes down to you have to get more practice. work on some plays, maybe edit your playbook, right? Realize some plays aren't working at all, or some plays you need to maybe incorporate. Like I always say, go watch higher division teams. Go watch Division 1. Go watch Division 2. Go watch Division 3. Watch co-ed teams, or even watch the ladies. Watch Women's 1. Like there's some really elite plays and elite playmakers and play calling, right? In all those higher divisions. Go watch some of those teams. Go talk to the players and pick their brains, right? Male and female, and it'll help. So I think this team, again, there's some talent, there's some speed there, there's some chemistry, which is great to see, but they have to learn how to execute better, and they need to just get better plays and better play calling along with execution.
Mhm. And then, so that was one of my questions. My second question: how impressed are you with Chattagate Community College? Because they just, I believe, last season they won 1-9, and now
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
they're the top of the dogs. They're 8-1. I think they lost their first game of the season.
Yeah, they're in
No,
second
they
place right
lost
now.
the second game of the season to Swiffer Wet Jets. But other than that, they're on a roll.
Yeah, 8-1.
Um,
Yeah.
they won the last 7 games, and the last game they actually play against is We Ain't Done with the 90s. So that should be a really good
Yeah,
game.
that exactly.
We have,
Exactly.
we have
Now listen,
two teams.
I know we sorry.
Yeah, so we have two teams that have only lost one game so far this season. They're gonna be playing against each other.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, we talked about them a lot, like ad nauseum in the fall, right? They were struggling. It is what it is. Last year, they were struggling. Again, they took their lumps, and now they got better for it, right? They got better. They added some new plays. I think they added a couple extra players too. Like
Mhm.
they're just a better team. They're operating, right? And you look at their wins, right? They have blowout wins. They have one possession wins. They've proven like a big win they had back in week 11, right? Over the Demons, 32-31. That's a big statement victory.
Yeah,
Demons are a good
especially
team.
for
They've
me.
been a good team for a while in this league in the lower divisions. And hey, the Chattagee Community College knocked them off. What did they do like a week later? They beat Rampage 27-20, right? They've shown they can beat teams big, and they can win those tight games. That's important. If you this is no matter whether it's tackle, flag football, touch football, if you have a bunch of one score games and you keep on winning, eventually that luck runs out. And it's not all luck; a lot of it is skill too. But eventually, your fortunes change where you start losing a lot of those one possession
Yeah,
games. And look no further than the Minnesota Vikings 2 years ago. They won a ton of one score games, right? They went down to the wire. This year, that wasn't the case. A lot of that had to do with Sam Donald leaving and JJ McCarthy being the quarterback. But teams in general, when you have one season in a lot of different sports, where you win a lot of those tight one possession games, if usually the following season you lose those. Chattagee Community College lost their fair share of those last year. Now,
yeah. Now
and they're winning the majority of them.
yeah, they're getting back their I wanted to say like lick, but I don't know if people are gonna understand what that means. But yeah, I'm just surprised, like you have like one team that's doing so well and then you have one team that's doing so bad. But I guess it
Yeah,
happens.
it's a big jump. It's a big jump in W's for a team, right? They struggled last year. I think they had. Let me go back and look. I think they had one win last year. I
Yeah,
think they
one
went
or
1-9 or 0-10. I can't remember to be honest with
yeah.
you, but it was less than two. I'll tell you that, and that's not a good season, right? And now, like we said, they're 8-1. Like that's props to those guys for doing what they needed to do.
Mhm. No, I'm happy for them. Again, I said I score kept I think two of their games, and from last season this season, huge improvement. I think they also added a couple players too that did make a difference. But it's always good to see when you see a team that's kind of struggling coming in this league, and like I'm sure some teams you also see teams that don't come back as well too, right? You go 0-10, 1-9, you're like, this is not for us. Let's go do something else because usually you're with a bunch of your friends, but in this situation they kind of said no, this is something we like. Let's get back to it. And right now they're pretty much close to leading the division right now, at the second seed, playing. They're going to be playing a huge game versus we ain't done with the 90s, following next week.
So let's go, and then we're gonna have a guest soon. So let's wrap up 5A before our guest comes on. Uh, yeah, so looking at 5A right here, looking at the schedule, we have one game that's tonight. Thunder, so two veteran teams. It should be a good one in Chattagee at 9:15. Thunder Buddies, pardon me, taking on Voodoo. So Terry Babalas against Frank K. Should be a good matchup. Again, two veteran squads, two veteran quarterbacks who've been there before. Should be a good game.
Yeah, yeah. I heard some people complaining about Thunder Buddies, saying that they shouldn't be in this division. That's whenever I see, like, because I play in this division, right? So whenever I hear people talking like, "Oh, why is Thunder Buddies in Division 5, whatever, 5A?" So there's a lot of complaints. So hopefully they're able to. Hopefully they win, so they could kind of be like, okay, you guys can't play Division 5, because they looking at their
Yeah.
team, they're pretty good.
All right, so that does it for Division 5A. We're gonna get to 4B and 4A and obviously Division 3, and Division 2 and Division 1. Actually, so Division 2 and Division 1, we're gonna hit up with our next guest. So welcome to the show. So someone who's playing right now on Team Canada, their future 2028 Olympic team. Member of the Braves, Lavers Fall, a dominant player here in FPF. Sorry, I'm not leaving. There's another team I'm leaving a co-ed as well. My apologies. Um, so I'm just looking for the name of the co-ed team. My apologies. Guillaume Béland, welcome to the show, sir. It's good to have you on, man. Thank you. We appreciate you coming on, taking some time. I know you're a busy man. You're a busy man. So let's hop into it. Like I was saying, obviously you remember the Braves, right? I think anyone that's paid attention to the Braves knows that you're definitely on the team. You're an impact player on that squad right now in Division 1. You guys are sitting at 6-3. You're in second place with Division 1. You guys are coming off a huge win last weekend against the Vultures, beating them 42-26. You guys leapfrog them now for second place in the standings. Looking at the squad right now, you guys are still behind the Party Crashers, who you guys lost to earlier in the year, but you guys are right now on the ascension, playing your best ball towards the end of the regular season. What's your opinion of your Brave squad this year?
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty much the same guys year in, year out. Regular season, it's always difficult to match schedule with flag schedule, with personal schedule and professional schedule as well. We have a couple of guys coming down from, deep in Laval, Joliet. Will lives in Ottawa right now, or I should say in Cornwall. So obviously trying to find the right time to play all together is difficult during the regular season. Obviously, we try to be all there most of the time. But yeah, it's just hard to have all guys during regular season, and we try to show up for playoffs when we make a run for the championships. But obviously, the rest of the division is very competitive. Party Crashers are putting up a hell of a season right now at 8-0. So, shout out to them. They're a really good team this year. So we're looking forward to playing them again.
Okay. So looking again, like so, all the teams you play for, like I said, obviously you play for Livers Fall in Division 2. You're also part of Team Rocket right now in our first year of co-ed 5v5. Record wise, it's not maybe where you guys want to be right now at 1-8, but what has the experience been like for you playing in 5v5 co-ed?
I love it. I mean, it's not the first time that we've done this together with Team Rocket. We've been participating in the Ben Butch in Trois-Rivières for a couple of years now, co-ed 5-on-5. So it's a group that ex athlete, ex football athletes, that have regular jobs today and that wanted to come back play flag. This year's been hard. We've had some injuries, and again, trying to mix and match the personal schedule with flag schedule has been hard to have a full squad. So not the place that we want to be, but I think that you have to look at a co-ed division and it's fun to have a team where we show up to have fun, play ball, make sure everybody catches the ball, has a touchdown, a chance for everyone to celebrate and have fun. So yeah, we show up, we have fun, and I think it shows by our attitude on the field. So it's been fun. I love this division. I'm happy that FlagPlus has that to offer this year.
Nice. And final team obviously play on, like I said, Division 2 with Les Verts Fall. I'm sorry, right now you guys were 3-4 record race, so you guys are definitely in the thick of that playoff race right now. You guys made a change at quarterback. Last couple of seasons, you guys have rotated through a couple of guys. I think the main passer you had on your team, pardon me, was Thomas Charles Paradis. This year seems to be Jules Regimbald as your main quarterback. If you talk about what was the idea behind the change and what does Jules bring to the lineup for you guys?
Yeah, again, it's more trying to fit what like the interest of everyone and trying to have fun playing the game. Thomas Paradis is one of my best buddies since our high school years, and he was our quarterback down in Notre Dame with the Cactus from Sec 1, Sec 5. We won a Val d'Or together, a provincial championship. So, like, he obviously is really good and he knows what he's doing. But at some point, he was just tired of playing quarterback and wanted to try playing receiver and defense. So we figured out that we could bring someone new, and Jill is doing amazing. He's really a really good quarterback, played for Team Quebec for a couple of years too. So again, having fun while playing flag, it's the important part.
Nice. So you've been in FPF now for a couple of seasons, right? Again, you're playing at a bunch of different divisions on different teams. What, in your opinion, makes FPF so special, and why do you keep coming back?
The community and the fact that everyone who's interested in flag football can find the right spot for them. Meaning, if you're taking flag more seriously and you want the performance aspect of it all, or if you're dreaming of making it to the Olympics one day, there's a division for that. There's Division 1 and there's 5-on-5 competitive. And then if you're just trying to show up with your buddies, have a beer before or after and just play flag, have fun, make sure everybody touches the ball, has a highlight at the end of the week or at the end of the season, and just trying to create memories with the gang, there's a division for that as well. And then again, like meeting up with women and men and mix all the co-eds division. I think that's what makes FlagPlus so special and unique is the diversity of what it has to offer, and making sure that everybody can have fun and try flag at any point.
Okay. You mentioned a few minutes ago, right, about the Party Crashers, obviously in Division 1. Like, you talked about their season so far. They're the number 1 seed. Like I said, you guys lost to them earlier in the year. What did you learn from that game about the Party Crashers, and what do you have to do to beat them if you guys go head to head once again in the playoffs?
Talented group overall, like individually speaking, they're all really good athletes, and then Jean knows how to extend plays and create some highlight plays for his receivers. So I think it's just holding on, making sure that the rush is breaking down in front of Jean, making sure that we're holding down the coverage and trying to make these plays as short as possible. If Jean has 7-8 seconds to throw, then he's probably going to find a hole and place a great ball at the right spot for his boys to go get. So but again, it's why we show up in Division 1 every year. It's for matchups like those and scenarios where we don't enter the playoffs with the number 1 seed and just try to stay competitive with it all. So it's fun to have the Party Crashers up there with us and giving everybody a great game.
Okay, and obviously, so I remember seeing you obviously playing defensive back at McGill, and obviously here in FPF, you play both sides of the ball, but defense is your specialty, right? I think that's pretty safe to assume. We talk a lot about Joe Mayo, obviously your quarterback with the Braves, Kevin Wyeth, of course, even Jean-Lee Alexis. When you look at Division 1 right now, so the other quarterbacks like Will Power, Ben McMahon, obviously Jesse Dupuis, Jeremy White, Mike Caparelli, when you see like the whole Division 1 right now, all the different quarterbacks, who's maybe a quarterback do you think that maybe like we even hear on a podcast or just in general people aren't talking enough about, who you think is like maybe not obviously at Kevin and Joe's level, but is slowly kind of moving up the rankings?
I think everybody's great, but I think if you have me think about one name, I recently have been playing Ben both in co-ed and in 5-on-5 and 6-on-6, and he's been exceptional. And I think every year in, year out, he shows up. He's better than the last season. And I think he's becoming a really, really good quarterback. And he's obviously super mobile as well. So that makes it like a very unique style of play, making it a hard time for the rushers out there. So yeah, Ben's making a great impression out there.
Okay, and like I said, you're a specialist on defense, right? That's been your calling card from Taco, even here in Flag. Who's maybe somebody on defense that you've seen from one of the other teams that really like that guy could be a lockdown corner, that guy is a ball hawk? Like, who's really caught your attention on the defensive side of the ball in Division 1?
I mean, I the first name that comes to mind, and I know you said from someone on another team, but like playing with Jeremy Murphy, I mean, he's a true receiver. and I know he plays for the Braves, so I'm obviously siding on his way, but and I have to admit it, but he's been really surprising, and James Drysdale as well. Like these guys are receivers at their core, and they find ways to make plays, and they change the whole course of a game by just being super athletic, reading the plays, and making big plays when it counts. So yeah, they've been surprising me in a really good way. Obviously I have to talk about Brisebois. I mean, he's really good, and he's been traveling with us in our last training camp down in Chula Vista with Team Canada, and he's been really good too. So it's been fun to play with him and against him as well.
Nice. Is it?
No, I was waiting to see how many questions you had. Okay, so kind of talking about McGill and then flag. Do you miss something that you don't get to do in tackle and that you're doing in flag right now?
I'm fortunate enough that I found what I was missing from a structured program, like structured football, meaning showing up to practice or making sure that, off season wise, meaning in flag, it's off season is just between tournaments and training camps. Like you have to stay in shape, make sure you follow your program, your discipline in working out and in your nutrition. I've been fortunate enough to be part of Football Canada for entering my 4th year now. So I found that structure and discipline through this. And as soon as we, also with the Braves, when we decided that we wanted to be more competitive, participate in different tournaments, it's always been for fun, and it's always been with the boys and traveling and having fun. But there was a performance side of it all that I was missing before. So when I first started, I was subbing a few games here and there, and then just playing full time in a few teams. I was missing that kind of like structure and just having a flag football coach is freaking cool. Just being able to sit down in a room and geek out about flag, like watch tape, rewatch practice, watch games. Study opponents, what's their style of play, what's their system, trying to create coverages and design offensive plays that are good matchups for us. I mean, that's really cool. So yeah.
Do you think every team should have a coach? Because I know a lot of teams don't. Like every team that's trying to get to the next level, do you think a coach is like mandatory? Like you should have someone there?
Yeah. Again, it depends. Like if you're trying to make a push for like being performant, traveling out there to the United States or even international, like in other countries, having a coach is always practical and good for a team, as long as it doesn't interfere with I wouldn't have a coach come down and coach Joe or Kev Wyatt that have their system, and I don't think it would be a good idea to try to change things. They're just running their plays and their system so well that I wouldn't touch that part. But then again, like on the defensive side, perhaps like there's a lot of stuff that we do with Team Canada that we don't necessarily see in FlagPlus, just because like we're not always able to practice and run and watch tape and correct ourselves. So there's ways to innovate on the defensive side that I think a coach could bring to a team for sure.
Okay.
Or for less experienced quarterbacks out there. So yeah, no, that's
that's what I was kind of looking at, because I know on the females, on the women's side, pretty much you always see most teams with coaches. Especially the university side, most teams have coaches, and then I know around women's too. I know more teams are looking for coaches to kind of, I don't know. I feel like
no, I see your point definitely, and I think it also comes down from the fact that a lot of flag players on the men's side used to play tackle and had the chance to be coached at some point. And so they also have that in the back of their mind, playing and like all the reflexes of adjusting and creating playbooks and etc. They've been there before, whereas I don't think a lot of women have had that chance ever, unless you play tackle football for Football Quebec or Football Canada or some of the senior leagues. But that's not, not a lot of them do. And so I think when they translate to flag, it's great to see that there are volunteers. Like these coaches, they do that like on their dime and on their time most of the time, unless they're registered with a university or a program. So I think that's awesome. And when I was talking about like the community and coming back year after year, that just shows that the community is really involved, and we're ready to share the knowledge and make sure that the level keeps on growing year in, year out. And I think we have a lot of talent individually in terms of athletes, but also in terms of coaches in Montreal and in Quebec in general.
Sorry, so I want to go back for a minute. So Quaysie obviously had asked you quickly about McGill. I had a chance to call your games at McGill. You played 5 years, 2017 to 2021. Quickly, what are some of the things you remember best about playing football for McGill?
Man, the family, the friendships that we've created there was, I have a lot of friends still that I see that we played together at McGill. Obviously, just being part of an organization prestigious like McGill was also really, really cool. The academic perspective of it all was a great experience. Football program wise, we didn't always have the success that we didn't always meet the standards that we set ourselves going into a season, but there was some progress and it was fun to be part of something bigger. And today, seeing the success that they have and the growth of the program takes me back to those years where it was, more tough and when we had to figure stuff out on a weekly basis. Like it's great to see as an alumni that the program is growing, people are getting involved, and I still talk to some of the coaches over there, and I try to be as involved as possible as an alumni too. So I keep only great memories from my time at McGill.
Nice. So I know you played some halfback, you played some corner. I think you even played a little bit of safety. Like, what was your favorite position to play on defense?
Mainly a corner. Given my body type, I get mainly a corner. I think my IQ spoke more than my physical attributes out there on the field. Not saying that I wasn't athletic. That's not what I'm saying at all. But so corner was my main position there, and my IQ allowed me to also take some reps at halfback if it was needed, but I preferred corner for sure.
Okay, and I got to ask your preference: laying a big hit, clean one, not to the helmet, but laying someone out, or getting an INT.
INT,
would you prefer to get?
INT, and everybody knows that, and I think that it clashed a little bit with the culture over there at first. I was coming in there with like DBs that were big bodies that would answer big hit laying down someone, and like for sure. And so I came in as a different style as a DB, but I'm in my weight on the starting roster, and it went well, so no regret at all.
Okay.
Since you're a true corner, right? Because there's a lot of some players that are not true. Sorry. So since you're a true defender, do you think it's kind of hard to translate that in flag compared to tackle into flag?
So at first, yes, for sure. As a defender, learning how to deflag someone, to pull flags is something you have to learn. It doesn't come naturally. It's not, especially coming from the tackle. You'll see the guy's feet being in perfect position. You'll see the form tackling is going to be amazing, but then the ability to pull the flags and try to anticipate some of the moves that the offensive flag players are going to pull are completely different reflexes. And I think for the first few years, just being able to play so much flag allowed me to make that transition shorter and adapt to the style of play a little bit better. But there's definitely some things that translate really well. I mean, the footwork, your ability to cover someone man-to-man, reading or putting yourself in the shoes of a quarterback and anticipating concepts, those are all skills that translate really well from tackle to flag.
You also think it helps because the field's a bit smaller as well, too?
Yes. But then again, being able to leverage that to your advantage as a defensive back, as a corner, so you're playing on the right sideline or on the left sideline, and being able to read across. It's rare on a tackle field that you'll read all the way through number one on the opposite side.
Yeah, exactly. It goes, right? 2 to 3,
And so I think similarly for a quarterback, if you're reading left to right and you're throwing, let's say, a dig that's coming from the left to the right, you're not thinking that the corner on the right side is going to have an impact on that throw at all. And when you first come in the flag, you're like, how did that guy end up there?
Yeah. So do you feel like the hardest position to translate from tackle into flag would be quarterback?
I think it's up there, but I think I have to put a little bit more like importance on the deflagging aspect.
Okay.
And I think it showed when we watched the games over the weekend, and I'm sure you're going to want to talk about it at some point, but I think that's the main realization, or at least that's what impressed me the most is the ability for some of the Team USA guys to just avoid the flagpoles and do so easily too. And I think the quarterbacks did pretty well overall. Like I think quarterbacks can adjust fairly quickly.
Okay.
Okay. Quickly, just wrapping up something about Taco. Right now, you're coaching Andre Grasset. You're a former player at Grasset as well. What is the experience like for you? Obviously, playing here as a player and now going back the last couple of years now as a coach.
Again, I guess as a big family too. Like they have a great community, a great family surrounding the program, making sure that the students are well taken care of. So as a player, that's definitely something that I felt. Again, a great group of guys that are still my friends today, and some of the coaches that were there when I was there as a player are still coaching as well. So coming back there and seeing the progress that it's made. When I started, we started in Division 2 in CJEP, so making its way to Division 1 and then being a powerhouse in the first division as well is just a progress that I'm proud of for the program as a whole.
Okay. So like I said at the top, obviously you're part of Team Canada, right? 2028 Olympics are in LA. It's coming up in 2 short years. When you found out you made the squad, obviously it's a happy time for you. Just what were some of the things going through your head right away when you found out you made Team Canada?
I was grateful, and I still am. It's a great experience, and I started I started subbing my first few games in like 2015, 2014, back when we had those yellow triple flags, that the flags were directly attached to the belt. And it's made it has boomed since then, obviously. And I think the talent around me, so as a community for flag has, soared. So it's been really fun to be able to play at the highest level and surround myself with some of the best across the country. And then again, I'm talking about the coaches. Like we have an amazing coaching staff surrounding us and making sure that we continue to learn. And then playing internationally is always such a thrill. And playing guys like the Team USA guys or playing against Japan, they have such a unique system that it's always fun to play and adapt our style of play to their system. So yeah, I think the word that comes to mind is grateful, and just continuously making sure that I'm the best version of myself, and I can give Canada the best chances to qualify for the Olympics, or making sure that the next guy is just ready to go as well. So sharing the knowledge, and welcoming the guys to the community as well.
Okay. You guys have a big tournament, obviously, usually ton of tournaments and that, but a big one coming up at the end of the summer. So August 13th to 16th in Dusseldorf, Germany. This is going to be pretty much the top 3 teams will qualify for the Olympics if you guys are able to get the W. Looking at your team, and obviously you've had some changes since the initial roster came out. There's been some changes onto the roster. You've had a chance to have practices. You had tournaments with your team. Where right now we're sitting in the middle towards the end of March. Right now, if you can give like an honest assessment of where your team is now and what do you guys have to do to make sure when you guys have that tournament at the end of the summer in August, you guys come out in one of those top 3 spots.
Yeah, I think the coaching staff has done a really good job at, we have a great core of players, and every time that we meet up for practices, there's always new faces around that are trying and they're trying out or just learning flag. And what we've seen is like ex-CFL guys coming to training camp and being introduced to the sport, and hopefully the goal is to for them to build experience and become better flag players. They're already great athletes that are translate super well at some point. Just trying to get as many reps as possible, flag specific, to be ready for international tournaments. Obviously, there are the national tryouts last weekend of April and the first weekend of May. So I think from 30th to the 3rd. So we're all going to meet up the top 50 here, I think on the South Shore or in Montreal. And the coaches are going to build an 18-man roster to go down again in Chula Vista, have a training camp. They're going to name 12 for the traveling team, and that's going to be it. But so far, I feel like over the last year, we've built a strong core, a super young program. When we look at it this way, like it didn't used to be the way it is right now. Back in the days, like it was a national Canada tournament, and whoever won, every team could register to that tournament, right? And so you had like a bunch of local leagues, friends grouping up, building a team. Whoever won that tournament represented Canada for a year, right? So we have a lot of talent in Canada, but was that the best way to build a national team and represent the country in international tournaments? I mean, I think we can all agree that it could be optimized. And I think they did by making sure that we had an ID camp and making sure that the coaching staff or the scouts would travel to different tournaments, make sure that we had eyes on everyone trying to scout talent, and then inviting all that bunch to the top 50 and then making a roster from there. So I think they did a really good job at that. And so far, I'm really proud of the progress that we've made and the results that we've had in the last summer, showing up to LA, going undefeated with a super young group. Some of these guys had their first international flag tour experience. So did our coach. Our head coach it was his first game against Team USA, and we ended up beating them. So I think that's like one of the most. I think that's the thing we're the most proud of over the last year, and then coming out of that tournament 4-0, then going in Panama and getting the bronze medal is also a great achievement, although we're hoping for better, but still qualifying the country for Dusseldorf this summer. We've come a long way, and I love the progress that we've made so far.
Nice. When you look at, so you talked about the progress, right, of Team Canada, even not just the men's team, but the women's team as well, right? When you look at, obviously, with your background coming from tackle, right, and now you're in flag, all three of us had a tackle background, and now we're pretty much immersed in flag. There's always going to be a bit of a gap, right, between flag football and tackle football, right? Tackle football has been around longer, right? It has more history on their side, whether it's the CFL or the NFL. But that gap is closing a little bit in terms of the popularity in flag. If you could put on your future hat for a second and be like, okay, and where do you think maybe in the next 5-10 years, not just FPF, but flag football in general can grow? And maybe what are some things you like to see to help out the game of flag grow even more?
Yeah, no, for sure. And funny enough, I was on another podcast this week, and we were talking about the future of flag and going back to the game against the NFL versus the Team USA squad and what we learned from that game. I think, and I'd like for us as a community, a flag community here in Canada, to change the narrative around that debate, quote unquote, the pro versus, or the NFL, CFL, contact versus flag. I think the best version of Team Canada, even in 2028 and then going into 2032, is just changing the narrative where we're a big community. And if someone from the contact world is thinking about or is dreaming about the Olympics or wants to be part of the flag world on a professional level, our community is so warm and welcoming them, and it's going to be open arms. And again, sharing the knowledge with these guys, I've experienced it firsthand. It's been amazing. And they're bringing something different, obviously, but it's not the same athleticism. Not that one is better than the other. It's just two different sports totally. And I think having the ability to bring Canadian CFL, Canadian NFL, Canadian NCAA, Canadian U Sport athletes into the flag world as early as possible, having them come down to training camps or tryouts, creating teams on FlagPlus, and then just reaching out, asking questions to current players, former players, coaches, just trying to be as much as interested as possible in the new sport and trying to learn a new skill. I think that's our best chances at building the best Team Canada flag roster going into 2028, 2032, et cetera, et cetera. It's just trying to make one community of talented flag players, whether they've played flag their entire life or had experience in contact at any level, just trying to make it all the best team possible. If that makes sense, the long answer for...
Oh, it does, yeah.
No, it does.
No, it does. No, it is.
No, go ahead. Go ahead, Brent.
Okay, so I was gonna say, so you brought it up, right? Obviously, this past weekend we had the International Federation of American Football, so the IFAF taking on the NFL Stars, right? So it was a big a weekend showcase. The the International Federation of American Football, so the flag football team, uh, beat two American teams by a combined score of 82 to 28. The teams were coached by Kyle Shanahan of my Niners and Sean Payton of the Broncos. Some of the NFL players that took part in that: Devontae Adams of the Rams, Joe Burrow, obviously the Bengals, Jalen Ramsey, Stephon Diggs, Saquon Barkley, Jalen Hurts, former player, hoping to be a current one down the road, Odell Beckham Jr. Not too sure about that anymore. A couple of retired guys, right? Tom Brady, Rob Gronkowski, right? So taking on Team USA. So obviously a lot of eyes were on that matchup. Um, it's domination pretty much by the flag football players. Of course, they're all popping off on social media about that. And again, a lot of people, even in the FPF community, were talking about that, right? So that's a big W for flag football over a bunch of current and former NFL superstars, right? So again, it's a great showing for flag. I want to say no. So this is where I want to lead to our question after, but our thing after, but I want to say pump the brakes on that just for a second. Quaysie and I were talking about this. Listen, again, 82 to 28 is 82 to 28. Doesn't matter whether you're playing hockey, football, no matter what the sport is. 82 to 28 combined is 82 to 28. So all the props in the world to Team USA for what they did. I know quarterback Darrell Doucette, who was talking a lot last year about being the best quarterback and going head to head against Pat Mahomes of the Kansas City Chiefs, obviously. And he says, no, he's going to be the quarterback for Team USA. He's put in the work and he's put in the time. So rightfully so, he should think that way. My only issue with that is, again, it's some NFL stars, some retired ones as well, right? They came out for a weekend, not training as much, maybe not knowing some of the rules, and they got spanked, and rightfully so. They should be getting spanked by guys who put in the time and the effort, right? What was your opinion on just watching that whole showcase on TV, Guillaume?
I think you said it. It's a major W for the flag football as a sport. I think it shows that, to the community that having a passion for a new sport that's growing and putting in the time, putting in the training, making sure that you're becoming a flag football athlete is a thing that we can say now. Like, I'm a flag football athlete, and there are going to be flag football professional leagues. And what we saw, and like, again, I don't want to go too far in answering the question, because I think there are follow-up questions, but what we saw is just two different body types. And what we know also is that most of the Team USA guys and most of the Team Canada guys are also ex-contact players. So nowhere in the debate where anyone is saying that contact guys don't belong in the flag world at all, or are not going to be flag football athletes one day. It's just the transition is not as fast as we thought it would be. And my answer to the debate, what used to be, I think if you give Joe Burrow a week and you give Jalen Ramsey a week and Stephon Diggs and Alvin Kamara, Saquon Barkley a week to practice and learn the rules, just dropping the football. If Saquon Barkley showed up and knew he should drop the football at the -1 before the first down, and he was just there with his IQ of flag football, it would have changed. It would not have changed a lot, just because he looks slow out there compared to the flag football athletes. And on the defensive side, on the NFL side, they were having a hard time pulling flags and even just holding coverage. And what Team USA did very well, I think, is just not let them play tackle defense, where they were not like trying to have one-on-one matchups, knowing that Jalen Ramsey is a great coverage DB. So if we try to, match him one-on-one, he's going to win most of his battles where he should, given his experience. So we're not going to let them play tackle defense or tackle offense. We're going to show up, do our flag strategies, make sure that we take advantage of our skills, and I think they did a great job at that.
Okay, no, they did a great job for sure, right? I think it'd be kind of cool to see. So obviously, Paul Laplace, right? Your head coach, former CFL offensive coordinator, former CFL head coach. I would love to see maybe like a CFL squad of former or current guys going up against you guys on Team Canada. I think that'd be great to see. One of the things I think for me is, I'll get your answer on that in a second. But one of the things that I think for even Quaysie and I, we were talking about it earlier this week, right? Again, 82 to 28 is 82 to 28. It felt like there was a little bit of like kind of a ratings grab in a sense. Like you had Logan Paul out there, right? Logan Paul, hey, he's in professional wrestling, he's in this, he's in that, great athlete. Even his brother is a boxer. They're loudmouths, but they're great athletes, right? Um, I think that like it was kind of a ratings grab in a sense, along with a football game, right? And then one team showed their skills, and it's still a platform despite all that for flag football. You get on the national stage and that people are watching. People we're talking about it right here on the podcast, right? And no one in FPF was in the game, but we're talking about it, and that's what they want, right? It helps raise the identity, helps raise the flag, if you will, of flag football. Sorry for the pun. So I think it'd be kind of cool to see maybe Team Canada taking on some current and former CFL stars and kind of doing their own edition of this game. What would be your thoughts on that?
No, hell yeah, for sure. I mentioned it earlier during our earlier conversations. Like my goal, and having access to different platforms to talk about that is trying to change the narrative. And if the CFL guys want to be more involved and are dreaming about Olympic gold, like, yes, please come down, reach out, be interested. And you know, some athletes retired over the last year, and they've had conversations with Coach Lapo already, and we're thinking about bringing them down to the DID camp and including them in training camps as well to give them as much experience as possible, leading to trying to just build the best squad for 2028. And at the end of the day, it's just making sure that the contact guys can have and can or have potential to translate and become like flag football players. And because I think there's a lot of different skills, your body has to change. It's not the same trainings. You don't have to prepare your body to take on contact for 75 times a game. You don't have to put on mass that much. And yeah, just experience seeing flag, watching flag, playing flag, super important. So yes, please come down. Let's have games. It's just for charity as well. Just try to make it a public event and raise funds for a cause and build a bigger community that way, for sure.
Listen, Paul LaPolice again, former CFO head coach. He's been an analyst on TSN before. I mean, he could be the guy to make it happen. Hopefully, he get the word out there and let's make it happen. I think that'd be awesome to see. You put it on TSN, you put it anywhere, people will tune in for sure. You brought up an interesting point, right, about changing your body, right, from playing tackle to playing flag. We've all played, all three of us have played tackle, and you're right. You get into, it's always called like 75 car accidents a game, right? When you have to hit somebody or somebody hits you. What did you have to do, and how long did it take you to kind of change your body from putting on all that mass to getting leaner, getting skinnier, and getting faster, more agile?
So you get similar trainings, but in a way not totally. Like you do a lot of plyo, a lot of jumping, making sure that your articulations are solid, making sure you have stiff ankles. Your capacity to trigger your nervous system as fast as possible. Just try change direction on a dime. You're constantly low to the ground as a defender, obviously, pulling flags and making change of directions. It's also a lot of mobility, so making sure that you're flexible and that you're able to play 2-3 games a day for 3-4 consecutive days. And just compete. There is a little bit of contact, although it's not allowed, but inevitably there is going to be a little bit of contact. So you have to make sure that your body's ready for that. So there's a lot of things that from the tackle programs that I had are kind of similar, but a lot of it changes as well. Just making sure you're explosive. And when you play contact, you try to have the best 40-yard dash. I wouldn't say for a 40-yard dash is as relevant in flag football at all. Whereas if you run a 40-yard dash on a flag football field, you'll meet the end zone very quickly. So it's rare that you're going full strides. You're better off focusing on having the best 10-yard, 20-yard dash possible. The shuttle test, all those change of directions are major keys to becoming a great flag football athlete.
Okay. One thing I wanted to ask, and I've had this conversation with a lot of different guys and girls over the year. Obviously, with the Braves, right? You talked about playing in different tournaments. I know Quaysie plays in some tournaments as well, in Montreal, sometimes outside of Montreal. I know Nike and Football Canada announced a little while ago a Road to Gold program, basically to support and fund some of the athletes like yourself, right? Uh, how's that going for you guys? And if you could put this, so people that don't know, right? If you kind of pull the curtain back a little bit, when you have to spend money, right, to go to all these tournaments, whether you're part of Team Canada or with the Braves or whoever, right? How much money would you say ballpark figure per year would an individual has to spend? Like how much would you have to spend like on going to all these different tournaments inside and outside of North America?
Depends on where you want to go, what tournaments you want to participate in. But obviously, I think that my first step, if I was new to flag and I wanted to push on the performance side of it all, I'd try to find a team in the higher divisions in Flag Plus in my local league. It could be Flag Plus, could be FF Joliette, could be Terrebonne, could be Sherbrooke, depending on where you live in Quebec. There are so many leagues available for that. So I'd focus here what's available, and then for international tournaments, like obviously going down in the United States, you could try to go and have a tournament and participate in a tournament in California, probably more expensive than if you drive down to a tournament in Boston, take your car, share an Airbnb with the boys or the women if you're on the women's team. But so I think there's a way to do it on a budget, but obviously there are some costs associated to trying to get international experience for sure. But now, Team Canada has made a lot of effort in raising money in the past year. It led us to this awesome partnership with Nike. So today, most of our flag football traveling are at zero cost for the athletes that are on the starting roster, so on the starting 12. Although, we're still trying to find more funding so that we can bring on more people and continue to do all that development for us as a core group, and then obviously as for the people that we try to bring in.
Okay. Oh, hopefully you guys get that funding because again, having as many players as possible is a good thing, and just people they're giving up time, they're giving up their jobs, whatever case, family time and all that, right?
Yeah.
To come to these tournaments.
Major sacrifices, obviously. You have to, it's not easy. And when you look at Olympians, fortunately and unfortunately, that's the discussion that we're forced to have now, is like, you're dreaming about being an Olympian, that's cool, but are you ready to make the sacrifices to be an Olympian? And most Olympic athletes have, make sacrifices on a daily. They have to find jobs that accommodate for their training and for them to travel to different competition every year. They have to find ways to make it work and just try to pursue their goals and objectives. So, yeah.
Okay. I'm gonna get you out of here in a few seconds. So we gotta ask you, right? One of the reasons why we asked you to come on the pod, there was something you put on your Instagram last week, right? So you obviously you watched the podcast, and thank you for that. By the way, we always appreciate the support. I know talking to Joe Maher, shout out to him as well. He watched the pod, some other guys as well, right? From the Braves teams. You had a comment, right? Quaysie and I were talking about the topic that we were discussing earlier, right? About having some of the pros, right? Whether it's CFL or NFL guys trying out for teams like Team Canada, Team USA, so on and so forth. I know right now the CFL is letting players go. The NFL, I believe, is saying one player, or the Olympics are letting one NFL player per team. When 2028 rolls around, I'll have to see if that number increases between now and then. You're quote on a quote you here. So you said in your quote, "I'll always be grateful and appreciative of what this league has done for the community." But this was an all-time low. So you're talking about, obviously, when we were talking about Quaysie and I about having players from the NFL or from the CFL trying out, let's say, obviously for Team Canada, because we're talking to you, right? And automatically taking spots from players who are on Team Canada right now, right? So obviously you have an issue in that. I don't know if I'm quoting you correctly, or you want to expand on that.
No, that's exactly it. That's
okay,
exactly
so
it. And I wanted to start that sequence by saying how grateful I am for this league and what it's done for the community. Obviously, not just dropping an all-time low quote and just trying to start a debate and beef for no reason. This league has been amazing for the community, and it still is. And you guys obviously being involved the way you are is also contributing to that. And I think when we saw that clip of that debate. I think it was the first time that we talked about it as a league. And like I told the people that asked the question, and why would I say that is, being on Team Canada is one thing. And like I said, my goal is to change the narrative, just build the best team possible for Team Canada, whether that includes contact guys that translate to flag. Again, the invitation is sent to anyone from the contact world that wants to come down and try out and becoming an Olympian. Please reach out and be interested in the sport. But then again, like saying that they would automatically translate very well in 24-hour time. I think what the event with Fanatics, Team USA, the NFL guys showed is that the flag community is a thing of itself, and flag athletes are allowed to say now that they're not just football athletes, they're flag football athletes. And coaching and mentoring kids, boys and girls in different schools, you see a lot of new programs popping left and right, and kids just being interested in flag now, and rather than football. It's new, and when it's new like that, it's fragile, and you have to take care of them and making sure that the little spark in them regarding flag remains and grows. And I felt like I should be there for them when Team USA put on that display where, flag football is a thing of itself. I thought I should post something to show them that they're worth it, and putting in the work and becoming a flag football specific athlete exists, and they should keep on dreaming and taking care of that little flame that exists in their heart. But that was, in no way, and I'm happy now that we have an opportunity to settle that, because I know it triggered something. But again, I'm happy to have a platform to say that, again, anyone from the contact world, please reach out, please come in and join and try to build this thing that we're trying and be part of the Olympic dream for Canada. And I think we all want to turn on the TV in 2028 and see Canadian flag football athletes participate and win. And we're not going to do that if we just try to build communities in silos and have contact athletes and flag athletes and just figure out a way without ever, being together. So trying to bridge both communities together and build the best team possible.
Okay. So for me personally, I like the fact that you are trying to kind of build that bridge to kind of just get football or athlete, if you will, under kind of one umbrella. So I appreciate that. And I do agree with you for someone that Quaysie is what Quaysie coaches. I coach as well at the elementary level. And I'm teaching my kids about flag football, and some of them are actually tackle athletes to come to flag. And I like when you see that spark in that kid's eyes, or like you said, or in their heart, right, about football, and they start to realize they become good at it, and hey, I can do this. And that's always great to see. You don't want to extinguish that spark at all. I will say though, so in our defense, we never said that a guy coming from a tackle, like let's say Guillaume Béland right now is playing for McGill, and you're leading the team in INTs, you're leading the team in tackles, you're automatically going to jump into flag football and tear it up. That actually we never said that. Mm-hmm. I'm saying, so even like this past weekend, right, with the NFL stars, again, like we said, they played maybe 2 games. I think they might have had a practice or 2, and that's it. Under those circumstances, I definitely don't think that at all, right? Again, playing flag football, whether you have a tackle background or not, it takes time and it takes skill to get good at it, as we all know, right? You're not just going to step onto the field and look like Jackson Smith-Njigba or look like Sauce Gardner, whatever the case may be, right? Whatever, or Justin Jefferson, whoever you want to choose. It takes time to build yourself up to that level. What we're trying to say, though, is if you give, not all, right? For some players, it's not going to work. But if you give, let's say Nathan Rourke, right? He announced a couple of weeks ago that he's serious about flag. He's joining a league, obviously, I assume in British Columbia, to learn the game. He's paying his respect, and he wants to pay his dues and become a flag player, I guess, in the offseason, right? If you give him the proper training and learning the game, right? I think after a while, if he wants to try out for Team Canada, let's say down the road, like a year from now, you give him at least a year, maybe a year and a half of getting to know the game. Maybe he can make the Olympic team, right?
Yeah.
Same thing even for Team USA.
Absolutely. I think the best example in that is the squad that the coaches built for Flag Canada last year. Like our quarterback, Michael Connor, he's a contact guy at first
Yeah,
and
yeah.
foremost. And all respect to Mikey, he's my guy. But when I first saw him at the tryouts, he's not the same quarterback than he was 3 weeks ago when we went for training camp in Chula Vista. Like he changed a lot, and he'd be the first to say, like, yeah, no, they're different games. Obviously, his arm talent and his football IQ helps a lot. But he had to adapt for sure. He's not the same quarterback. So my reaction when I saw that Nathan Rourke, was starting Flag, I couldn't be more happy. Like I couldn't be happier for the community and us. Like I can't wait for him to come down and try out and practice with us. That only makes Canada a stronger flag football program for sure.
Yeah, like I guess
Yeah.
also for me, what me and Brent was kind of saying, we were not saying like a random, sorry, not random, but like a CFL or NFL player is gonna just like let's just say you guys are going to Germany in like a week, and all of a sudden someone's like, oh, I want to be on this team. They're gonna all of a sudden, okay, you play NFL, you're gonna be on the team. I was kind of more saying that though it'll be easier for them to get invited compared to somebody else. Let's just say you're Ben St. Just, right? And he's interested. He goes, hey, I'm interested in playing. I want to learn how to play. I don't think it's going to be like, okay, no, sorry, we already have our 12 man. Like, depending on when it is, but it's going to go, sorry, we already have our 12 man. No, I think it's going to be like, okay, let's try to work something out around those lines compared to like, let's say a random player. I don't know, like someone else that's not well known. If he decides to say that, they'll get a different answer.
Perhaps, no, for sure. I think you're right, and I think having professional contact athletes, they do that for a living. So throughout the years, they are developing skills that nobody else who does it, who's not paid to do that, is ever going to develop. So obviously, having them on a highway to come down and see, is he ready to translate the flag? Like, is he ready to make the 12-man roster and travel and play against these guys that have been playing flag for years now? Is that the best move? Is that making Team Canada stronger? Like we have to figure it out, and they have to come down and try out. And I'm happy to hear both of your answers. And I think the clip itself just resonated the wrong way when I first watched it, and I think it did for a lot of other athletes in the community. Like we saw that, talked about it, gave our opinion, and obviously posted about it the next weekend. But no, I think you're right. But so yeah, no, they're definitely good athletes that are able to translate. And what I'll say is that, we talk about the 2028 Olympics, but these Olympics started last year when we traveled down to Panama and qualified Canada for Germany, because Germany is a qualifier for the Olympics. So had we not have a strong squad in Panama and finished third, or I guess the top five made it. So any of the top five, like we wouldn't even have this conversation right now. We'd wait for 2027 where there's a last chance tournament to qualify your country. So what I'm saying is, if you're thinking about translating and if you're thinking about the 2028 Olympics, don't wake up like December 27 to be like, in 6 months, I'm going to be part of that squad. It's not that it's going to be too late. We're obviously we're as a program and the coaching staff are going to look at it and say, what can we do with the time that is given to us? And start now, like be part of it now and show interest, start learning the game, show up to practice and be involved, so that in 2028, we're one, qualified, and two, we have a really strong squad to go and win it all.
Yeah, for sure. And that's what I think we kind of saw that this weekend as well, how the NFL players didn't translate well at all compared to the US team and stuff like that. You saw the coverages. I believe some of them had like a deep safety or one safety back, and they're kind of like, some players were showing man to man. Like I felt like I watched all the games, and I felt like, okay, well, one thing it did show is that like you just can't randomly show up on the field and expect like you're going to be super good at it. So I think that's something that was shown.
Totally agree. But then again, like you see OBJ still jumping like 10 feet in the air and you're like, dude, you could have a guy like that on a squad. And so it depends. Again, like I think the best flag football roster probably has a lengthy, tall super skilled at catching the football guy that probably translates super well from a professional career in the CFL and the NFL. But if you're looking for a shifty guy like Emile Chateauvert, you're not going to like JSN's not going to dip and move around the field like Emile's doing right now, or like François moving on the Rochelot's moving on the field. And so,
it's what you were saying. The body, like we both played tackle, we both played football. You're not built to be lean. You're not built to be kind of like that. If a lot of guys, when you're that, well, I mean, you have Devontae Smith, that's pretty much kind of skinny. He's like maybe I think like 160, so he's a bit different. But and you have big guys like DK Metcalf and like CeeDee Lamb. Like these guys are big guys, about 200 plus, and their bodies aren't moving the same way as flag players' bodies are going to move. But again, they're training for two different things.
Absolutely, I absolutely agree. Yeah.
I have one question for you. It's about basically the teams that are qualified. Do you think it kind of benefits that USA is going to be hosting in 2028? Because now they basically get a free bid, right? They automatically get in, and there's 5 other teams. So, like, do you feel like that's a good thing that they're hosting this in 2028 compared to like a team like Germany, where they would have taken a spot from someone else? Because for sure USA is going to qualify, like for sure they would be one of the top 6 teams. So now the fact that they already have their bidding, it doesn't take it from someone else compared to, let's just say Finland or Germany or Sweden or something like that would have had an automatic bid and they would have took a spot from someone else.
Well, they would have taken a spot anyways, right? They would have been top 6 regardless. So if they finish 6th or they finish first, you're saying like, what if like top 8 qualified?
I'm saying, is it a good thing? I'm saying, is it a good thing that USA is hosting this year?
Yeah.
Like hosting in 2020.
Yeah, no, I think it's a good thing. I don't think it changes anything because they would have taken a spot anyways. So like you have 5 other teams that have to finish in the top 5.
Yeah, but let's just say like what's a bad team? What's a team that's like top 10?
What's a bad team?
Yeah.
You're saying who's top 10? I'll say top 10 is a great team right now. I think Canada, we're ranked 10 right now.
Give me a country top 20.
I think a country that's not ranked high enough or top 20. France had a really good program when I saw them evolve.
Yeah, but France is pretty good. Like they're not bad. Like give me a team like if they hosted, they would have took away a bit. Took away a spot.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I could pull the IFAF flag rankings.
Yeah. Because I was talking about it.
Okay, you know what? Yeah, I'll talk about China though. I'll talk about China because from what we've seen so far, not the strongest program at all, but it's a program that's investing a lot, and as they always do, when they start something new, they do it really intensely, and they invest the appropriate funds to make sure that they're going to be one of the best. And when you looked at their performance in Finland. Not the best ranking, and again, like in the Asia Oceanic tournament, like continental this year, again, not the best results. Their women's team is becoming like a powerhouse. They're actually building on a really good team, and their men's squad is arguably the same thing, where they showed up to Tampa Bay, and my friends in the Braves told me like completely different athletes, not the same squad as last year. And from what I hear, they're full-time flag football athletes. Like they do this for a living.
Yeah, that's what my friend Quaysie was telling me too.
Yeah, so that's probably a team that would have taken a spot, but again, like if you look into the future going into 2028, I wouldn't be surprised to see them qualify perhaps in the second qualification tournament in 2027. Assuming that they keep on training like that and their squad builds up to be a top 6 powerhouse. Yeah.
So like, okay, so my question, like what I'm trying to ask you is like, is it a good thing that USA is hosting compared to like, let's just say Jamaica? I know Jamaica's flag team is horrible. So let's just say, because if you host, you get a bid. You get into the tournament.
Yeah.
Right. The fact that
So I was gonna say, or hold on. With USA hosting, how much pressure do you think Team USA is gonna face? Because again, LA Olympics is on NBC. A lot
Yeah,
of eyes are gonna be on Team
no,
USA.
no, for sure. But I'm just saying, is it a good thing that they're hosting? So they no matter what they would get. I feel like USA would have been top six no matter what. I don't care 2027, 2028, right? But if a different country hosted, that is not good. They would have got an automatic bid to be into the 2018 Olympics. So they would have took a spot. Let's just say you finished. Let's say you were a top six team, and you wouldn't because you finished well, you would have finished seventh basically because that team would have took your spot.
Yeah, understood. I think it's a good thing. I'll answer straight. I think it's the best case scenario because that makes you'll make sure that you have the true top six in the flag football's debut in the Olympics. Meaning, if somebody else hosted who's not a top six and they get their beat of a lifetime every time they show up to the field, it's not the best.
Yeah.
What you want to show in the first edition, because flag football is still a tryout Olympic sport. Like it's not there full time yet. They're testing it out. That's why there are so few countries that are going to qualify for that discipline, like it specifically. So you have to put on the best show. So starting in LA, having USA host it makes perfect sense.
Yeah. So like example in 2032, it's in Australia.
Yeah.
Right. So that means if let's just say they go for it again, you said this is 2028 is a test. If everything goes well, views are good, they want to continue this. 2032, it's in Australia. That means Australia's team, which is actually I heard it's pretty not bad. They would technically get a bid out of the top if let's say they do 6 teams again.
Yeah, and guess what they're doing right now? Like they're traveling, making sure their team's getting experience. They're investing in their player development. They were in LA. We're down there in June. It was Australia, Japan, USA, and us, Canada. And so they're making sure their team is getting prepared to host, again, to put on a good show and make sure they represent proudly.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, man. Just last question here. I've kind of asked you this earlier, but so I just want to get 100%. Team USA, pardon me, Team Canada. My apologies. Team Canada in 2028 will win Olympic gold if what?
It's a great question. I think what differentiates us from other countries right now is the talent and the passion that our community shares for this new sport is not something you see everywhere across the world. Again, talking about how involved, volunteer coaches, starting new programs, starting camps, taking on kids at like 10-year-old and creating a travel team, practices, traveling with them, making sure they get experience. The future of flag football in Canada and in Quebec specifically is bright, is amazing to see. So I think that's what's going to differentiate us going into 2028 is if we're able to leverage that passion, leverage that talent, make sure that, again, like we bridge the gap and make sure every athlete who's interested has a shot at making the team and that we're able to realize like, man, this started a year ago. And we're fortunate that we were able to build a good squad and qualify for Germany. Now we have to keep on working and keep on being passionate and show up to Germany, finish top 3, win gold. That's the goal, obviously. And then qualify for the Olympics. And then in the Olympics, again, it's just what's the progress? Did we form a team in 2025 and assume that we just keep those same guys and stop just assume we're going to win? No, like we have to progress. We have to become better every day and make sure that the structure around the program is there's a good structure in place to ensure development and improvement year in, year out.
All right, well, yeah, listen, man, again, a year and a half now, pretty much away. The 2028 Olympics, pardon me, in LA. So I know you guys have some other tournaments coming up, especially the one that, like we said, in Dusseldorf, Germany, in mid-August. Just want to say, stay healthy, man. Best of luck to you and the rest of your teammates along the way. We'll be cheering you guys on, obviously, in 2028. Hopefully, we'll have you back on the podcast before you take off for the Olympics, man. Also, just want to say thanks for coming on, taking some time out of your schedules. I know you're busy. I think you have a game tonight, actually, playing against Quaysie. Hope you guys smash Quaysie's team tonight.
Quaysie, are
Great
you
to
playing
see.
at 9 as well? Because it's 8:07. I have to leave to go warm up
No,
for
no,
the.
I'm not. No, I play at
Yeah.
10 though. I play at 10.
Okay.
You have a
So,
big game though. You have Division 2, right?
yeah, Division 2 KGP Elite, I think, and then
Yeah.
we're playing, and then Division 1, yeah, 5-on-5 again against
Yeah.
KGP.
So no, I'll be there at the 10. I play on a
Perfect.
different division. I play on a different Division 2 team. But I'll see you at
Okay.
10.
Perfect. See you there. And again, thanks for having me, guys. Like, this was awesome, and appreciate the opportunity to share and talk with you guys. Always a pleasure.
All right, so hopefully now this is going to be an all-time high. This
Yes,
episode,
sir. Yes, sir.
time with you. I appreciate you coming on, man. Good luck.
Yes, sir. Take care. Bye-bye.
All right.
All right, guys. So welcome back. We're gonna go right into Division 4B. Division 4B. I'm just gonna open it up over here so you guys can see what I see. Looking at the standings for Division 4B, one thing I actually want to talk about is no flags given. So right now they're having a great season, probably one of the top 5 offenses right now, and scoring. Defense is playing well. They also have a little Instagram going for them. Now I don't want to say little, but they have Instagram going for them, kind of showing their highlights every single week. So again, if your teams there that are going to be playing against them, it's also something you guys can kind of key on when it regards to filming. Check to see who the best player is. So sometimes it benefits you when you put on highlights every single week, and sometimes it doesn't. But right now they're having a great you have Tyler Stewart that's having a great year with his squad. They usually do pretty well, so I'm not surprised. The fact that they're undefeated right now is a bit surprising. They just played Studs, and they won that game 45 to 21. So Studs is also one of the top heavy teams. Not the best defense, but definitely one of the highest scoring offense. And they only let them score 21 points. So they only scored 3 touchdowns, I want to say. Yeah, they scored 3 touchdowns. So a high scoring power offense like the Studs that are scoring that have scored 327 points so far in the last 9 games, and being able to hold them to just 21 just shows how good no flags given is this for this season. So it's gonna be interesting to see if they're gonna be able to finish their season 10-0. The upcoming games, they play Peacemakers, which is going to be a huge game because that's literally the team that's right above them. And then they play Dirty Dogs. So Peacemakers is also a really good team this year. They're 7-1 with a pretty good offense and a pretty good defense. So I think that's going to be a good matchup. And then they end up playing above average Dirty Dogs team that's right in the bottom of the bunch. Looking at playoffs, top 12 teams make it. So we have Brewers, Super Saiyans, and no pun intended. No pun intended. Unfortunately, your season is done. You guys can't make playoffs, but doesn't mean you can't win your last game. Super Saiyans is gonna have to win the next 2 games. It's a good thing you guys do have that tie, and the same thing for Brewers. They kind of just need to win one of the next 2 games and hope Dirty Dogs and Grab a Leaf at least lose both the next 2. And then they still have a chance. So still a lot of football to be played. Still a lot of chances for teams to make playoffs. So Super Saiyans, Brewers, you guys are still in it. Don't give up. And then Grab a Leaf, Dirty Dogs, Cast a 12. You guys should be fine. Peckers, 1 goal, balls deep. You guys are all good. You guys are just playing for seedings. So seedings, you don't want to play versus the best team. So the better your seeding is, pretty much. So should be the longer you make playoff, the longer you're able to extend your playoff run. Looking at the games for the week 12, so we kind of talked about no flags given, played Studs on Tuesday. Brewers actually got a huge tie, so that's good for them versus Bandit. That's pretty good for them. Fight School VC won a good game versus Peckers. That's good for them. And again, Dirty Dogs. The 3-5 team, that's a huge win for them because they would have been 2-6, which would have brought them in the bottom of the bunch, bottom of the patch. So that's huge for them. And then going to week 13, so we have some pretty interesting games. I think the three games that that they're going to stand out the most for me is No Flags Given versus Peacemakers. So you have the number 1 seed versus number 2 seed. Basically, if Peacemakers could win that game, they could technically finish in the first seed. Then we have Brewers versus Flight School VC. Brewers right now, if they could win that game, they're one step closer into getting into a playoff spot. And then they play Studs. Again, two really good teams that Brewers are going to play against. But if they can win any of those two games, they get one step closer into the playoffs. And the same thing goes for Uncle Rico Riders versus Super Saiyans, where Super Saiyans pretty much you win and you're still alive, you lose and your playoff hopes are done. So that's pretty much it for Division 4B. We're going to go to Division 4A. Just going to open it up for everyone to see. Looking at the standings, the first thing I'm going to kind of look at. So look at the standings. We don't have any teams that are undefeated. We have every team that also has won a game as well too. I think this is pretty much Division 4A. I think it's the most equal when it comes to the bottomest teams because you have a lot of teams that have won 2 games. So playoffs is going to be very interesting. You have Nighthawks 2-7, Bible Study 2-5, and then Team Ethic they're also 2-5. But then you have teams like Bullhawks, Rick and Marty that are also have won 2 games or 3 games, but sit at 6 to 5 points. So teams, the 3 teams I kind of just mentioned, they do have a good chance to still make a playoff push. In this division, there's 16 teams. 12 teams do make the playoffs. So again, those bottom teams still have a huge chance to make the playoffs. Looking at the schedule in week 12 that just happened, so we had Nut and Run that destroyed Bible Studies 42-6. So again, that's not a good start for Bible Studies, just especially for the fact they have to win. Back to the Future got a huge win on Rick and Marty. Team Ethic, huge win for them. Got their second win of the season versus Ducks, so it's huge momentum for them. Again, right now I think they're in the. I just looked at it. I think they're in the 14 seed. So they're gonna have to win a couple more games to get into that playoff push. And then Mofos versus the Last Chance. Mofos took care of business and with a win of 39-27. Tonight we have one game that's gonna be playing. We have Trap Stars versus Rick and Marty. Again, that should be a really good game between two really good teams. Trap Stars are now at the top of the seed at 7-1, so they're gonna try to extend their record being 8-1, and then Rick and Marty's kind of at the bottom right now. That if they get one more win, they pretty much secure their playoff spot. Again, I think 3-5 should get them in, but you never know depending on Bible Study and Team Ethic and how they're gonna do, and also Nighthawks can't jump them. So depending on those two teams, and they have 3 games left, so this is definitely going to be a huge game for Rick and Marty. And then Trap Stars pretty much just are trying to hold on to the number 1 seed when it comes down to playoffs. So for them, again, if they want the number 1 seed, have home field advantage going into the playoffs in the finals as well. That's something that you kind of do want to have. Looking at the schedule for week 13, we have a few games. The games that are kind of interesting. Oh, sorry, a few. We have a lot of games. We have about 9 games that going on to this. The games that are I'm kind of looking at is the teams that are trying to make that last jump and the teams that are trying to defend their spot. So we have Bible Study versus Ambush. That should be a good game. Bible Study has to start winning some games. Nighthawks versus Stone Deli Degens. Nighthawks need a win here to kind of to keep their playoff hope going. Then you have Team Ethic versus Mofos. Again, Team Ethic is trying to make a playoff push, so they're trying to keep their playoff hopes going. A loss is not going to get them out of playoffs, but it is going to change their percentages to kind of make a playoff spot. And then Bible Study, again, that plays Back to the Future. It's a huge win for them. And then you have Trap Stars versus Penetrators, depending on the game that Trap Stars play later on tonight versus Rick and Marty. That's going to also secure their number 1 seed. If they could win versus Rick and Marty and they agree versus Penetrators, they pretty much lock up that number 1 seed. But that's pretty much it regarding the teams that I'm kind of looking at and that are kind of my radar to see this, to see who's going to make playoffs or not. Because again, as we're saying, we're at week 13. There's only 15 weeks. So the teams that are kind of looking in, that looking out, looking in, the teams that are looking in, that looking out, pretty much have to realize that some of the games they're going to be playing the next few weeks are going to be playoff games for you and the teams that are also in the right now in the middle of the bunch. Some of these games you're gonna want to kind of see who you want to play in the first round and who you don't want to play in the first round. So maybe it benefits you guys to be in a higher seed. Maybe it benefits you guys to be in a lower seed. So again, there's a lot of football left. We have 2 weeks left, basically week 3 weeks left, week 13, 14, and 15. Not many teams are going to be playing week 15, but again, a lot of football still left to be played. I'm going to be going to Division 3 now. Yeah, we're in part one. Oh, yeah. So again, this is Division 3, still in part 1 here. Looking at, again, I'm going to go to the standing kind of first to kind of get a little better preview for everybody. So Division 3, we have 24 teams. I think this is the biggest division that we have right now. That all the teams are kind of in one division. Top 16 teams make it. Right now we have 7. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We have 5 teams right now with 4 points, and then we have we have 4 teams with 4 points, and then we have 1 team with 5 points. So again, it's super close with the bottom teams like Nomads, the Hustlers. Those are the 2 teams that are kind of right now are at the bottom. Nomads at 6 points and the Hustlers at 8 points. So Ballhawks, Benitos, Mangoose, Bet the Under, and Raffins. Again, playoffs are still in the picture. Just win out to be like, win your game. Raffins, if you guys win, you guys kind of make a jump. It's gonna be difficult. It's gonna be a lot. It's gonna be hopefully you have like a 3-way or 4-way tie. Bet the under. You guys have 2 games left. Got to get those wins. If you guys can win at least 2 of those, you guys can maybe bump out Nomads. Same thing for Mongoose, 2 games left. Benitos as well. Your defense is pretty damn good. So that's one thing where that can help you guys a lot by getting at least 1 more win. And then Ballhawks, to be honest with you, if you guys could win your last 2 games, you're going to move up to 9 points. Maybe you'll catch up to All Blacks as well with that tie. And again, points against, points for is going to matter. But you guys can maybe catch up to the Hustlers or Nomads if they lose the next 2 games. So it's going to be 2 huge games for you guys. Looking at the schedule that happened in week 12, it's going to just open up here. For week 12, we had a few games. Shout out to Terror Squad winning 51-25 versus Team Sexy. I felt that game was going to be a bit closer. Speed Academy putting on a beat down to Himothy's 63-24. So always got to give a shout out to a team that scored 63 points. I know a lot of quarterbacks and a lot of guys that play offensive that play on the opposite side. Sometimes it's hard to score points. So when you see a team that scored 63, I'm pretty sure there's probably some pick sixes there. But they just kind of get that 60 mark. It just shows how good your team actually is. Then we have Killer Roys that have been struggling a bit lately. They get a big game. They get a big win versus Beer Belly Brigade, BBB. So it's huge for them. And then Beer Belly Brigade get back versus Benitos, where that was a huge game for Benitos. They kind of had to win that game. And then they also lost the following week. So they're not doing so well. They're kind of in a situation they got to keep winning. Team Sex as well. They've been struggling a bit. They played 2 games this week 12. They lost both of them. And then Terror Squad again, one team that's doing pretty well under Tam. They won 43-25 for Don't Mess With This. Going into the following week again, I'm kind of at the same thing where I'm looking for teams that are trying to make that last push and to get into that playoff spot. So if I'm going to look at some of the games, it's definitely Bet the Under versus Speed Academy. That's going to be a very hard game for them. And then Bet the Under versus Win Diesel. They have to play 2 powerhouse. I want to say they're probably the top 5 teams. So hopefully Bet the Under could get an upset. Unfortunately, if they can't, they're probably – well, they're not. They're going to be out of playoffs. Ballhawks as well as 2. That's going to be a huge game for them versus Himothy's. And right now, Himothy's are at the bottom of the seating, so that's going to be a huge win for them. That could be a huge win for them. Speed Academy versus Eastway is also a team. It's going to be a game I'm kind of looking forward to. You're going to have top 10 teams play versus each other, so that's going to be nice. And then Les Petits Cahat is also a team right now are at the top seed. They play They play the Hustlers. So again, Hustlers right now is a team that's doing not bad. You know, they sit at 4-4. They have a huge game versus the Pitsiki that are at the number 1 seed. But if you look at both offenses, they both scored 268 points. You know, the Pitsiki defense is way better than the Hustlers defense, but it kind of just means that the Hustlers are able to score. So hopefully Hustlers defense can kind of come out and their offense is able to score some points, because we never know. We might have a little upset here. Plus, a win for the Hustlers there would give them that jump into 10 points. And I think 10 points, they'll be safe. And they'll have their playoff spot secured.
So thank you. Just listening to what you're talking about, right? With the Hustlers, you look at this team, right? They've won 3 out of the last 4 games, right? Their only setback for the Hustlers was a 48-35 shootout loss, pretty much back in week 10 to Caroline, right? Other than that, they beat the Ramfins, they beat Ballhawks, and then they beat Le Rancourt, right? So can they make it 4 wins in their last 5 against Le Petit Carrot? That's not going to be a cakewalk. It never is taking on Le Petit Carrot, but Hustlers right now arguably playing their best ball of the season. A win over Les Petits Carrots, you may have to start talking about the Hustlers as maybe a sleeper championship contender.
Mm-hmm. No, for sure. Their team again. They have the Felix Guerin Lajoie as a quarterback, mobile guy. He's been in the league for a while. You know, he's kind of doing. He's doing kind of on the low too. You know, like he's kind of like that, and they also have a number. I want to say he plays number is 11. What's his name? Alex.
Alec Gregoire. I've seen this guy. He can ball. Yeah. Alec Gregoire can ball.
Yeah, he's a sleeper. Yeah. He's a guy that definitely he could play Division 2, and maybe even Division 1 if he's just comfortable with a quarterback. But he makes plays. He's also always posting on Instagram too of his highlights and stuff like that. So definitely one of his sleepers.
I don't know how much of a sleeper he is with like. So sorry to interrupt you. I don't know how much of a sleeper he is with 18 touchdowns. That's I think I think once you pass it that 10 to 12.
No, I meant a sleeper for Division 2, Division 1.
Okay.
So like
okay.
Like Division 3, I'm pretty sure he's destroying most of the teams. I think that's the reason why he's one of the main reasons why the Hustlers has scored so many points. But let's just say again, example, if I'm playing Division 2 and I see a player like him, I'm not gonna know who he is, right? So after I'm sure he would score some touchdowns, I'm like, yo, who is this? And then I'll kind of start looking at him. The reason I kind of know who he is because I see his Instagram posts, and every time I see him, he's scoring touchdowns, you know. So that's one of the main reasons why I kind of know who he is. But yeah, Hustlers right now could be one of those sleeper picks, you know. So hopefully they're able to make a.
No, so I was going to say, like, looking at his other team, right? He's in co-ed 2 with Kamikaze, right? I mean, that team that Sanders was calling out last week, 11 touchdowns, right? Like this guy, he's been in the league. So looking, division last spring, right? In Division C with the Hustlers, 15 touchdowns. I know his name. Like I've seen him play, not a ton of games. I'm not gonna act like I've seen him play a lot of games, but I know his name. I've seen him play here and there. Usually when I do see him, I score keep a game, he's putting up numbers, man. Like he has his first season, I'll give you some context. His first season was the 2024 fall season. So 2024 fall. How many touchdowns do you think he has already?
Sorry,
just as a receiver.
Sorry, you said how many touchdowns does he have?
Yeah, like without looking at his stats, how many touchdowns do you think he has? His debut season was fall 2024.
How many touchdowns does he have in total?
In total, as a receiver, just as a receiver.
And he's played on. Sorry, how many teams has he played on so far?
He's played. I have it here. He's played on Kamikaze, obviously now, and the Hustlers. He's played 1 game for the Penetrators and 4A. Raw Sauce, Kamikaze again another season. Flag Fools 2.0. He's subbed for Beer Belly Brigade. He's played Oompa Loompas. He's played another subbing for Beer Belly Brigade, the Mighty Six. He's played on Voodoo. He subbed and played full time on a number of teams, but his main teams pretty much are Kamikaze and the Hustlers.
Okay, so what am I basing on? Am I basing just on those two teams?
It's
Or am I
receiving
basing
touchdowns. How many receiving touchdowns do you think he has in
since
the
2024?
years he's been playing?
Since 2 years he's been playing. Well, I mean, I'm averaging 10 touchdowns per team because like he's at 11 and 18, so
Yeah.
I'm at least I'm averaging 10. So I mean, he has I want to say over 10,
Give me
10,
like a
10,
ballpark figure.
maybe over 60.
Okay, so give me a ballpark figure. Like, give me a number.
68.
68. All right. He has 95.
Okay, that's a lot of touchdowns.
Yeah, again, since fall 2024, that's pretty impressive. 95 touchdowns. He also has, I think, two as a defensive back. So yeah, he has two as a DB in his time in FPF. So it's a total of 97 overall, but again, 95 receiving touchdowns in just over 2.5 years, let's say. Because he started playing in the fall, so now we're 3/4 of the way through the winter. So let's say 2.5 seasons, 95 touchdowns. Doesn't like again, and it's not all low division stuff, right? He's played a lot in Division 4A and a lot of Division 3 in that as well, right? And co-ed too. Yeah, he's putting up big numbers and big divisions.
Is he gonna win receiver of the year this year?
Pardon me, yeah, I think he should. I don't see why he wouldn't, to be honest with you.
Oh, there's actually a lot of players. There's a lot of. He has 18 touchdowns right now. The guy that leads is Tyler Gerber at 23 touchdowns. So I mean,
Yeah, that's shit. You're right.
he's
I take that back. You're right.
right now
You're right.
he's number 4. He's at 18. You have Marc Andre Lapointe at 19, and then AJ Zapatel.
Yeah, it's up
Telly,
to tell you,
sorry,
yeah.
at 22. The thing is the two guys that are ahead of him are key receivers that have been playing with
In
their
higher
teams
divisions.
for a while, right? You know, Tyler Gerber
Yep.
and that combination of his quarterback. There's a reason why I'm pretty sure Tyler Gerber has won a lot of receiver of the years, and the same thing with AJ with his brother. I think it's at quarterback, right? So those are two guys that are kind of like sync, and then you have Marc Andre Lapointe. That's pretty much the top
Playing
receiver
forever.
now with Bear. Yeah, well, he's new on that team, but I think he's a snapper, and they use their
He
snapper
usually
a lot.
snaps and yeah. On
And then
offense,
you
he's
have
usually
him
a
at
snapper.
number 4. So I mean, he's
Yeah.
not that far off. But the two guys, the three guys. Well, I wouldn't say the two. I'm not going to say Mark is his first year with this team. The two guys are ahead of him. I mean, there usually are key candidates that do win receiver of the year, and usually Tyler Gerber does usually have a crazy season year on year off. But yeah, going kind of just ending with the Hustlers. They have 2 games left. One with Pitikahat, and then they play Team Sexy. So if they can win one of those two games, they definitely will secure their playoff spot and get one game closer into maybe a playoff championship. Maybe a championship. Sorry.
Yeah. I know. I heard you mention before. I was let back into the chat. I know you mentioned the Banditos. Yeah, they've lost 5 in a row, man. Like it's their last chance, like you said, is this Sunday, right? Again, against one goal. Like if they even want to have a chance of sniffing the playoffs, like they really need to get their act together. And I'm surprised that they've lost. I mean, listen, we always talk about it, right? This division is tough. We're not going to act like it's not. And again, you see the plethora of teams, right? 24 teams right now. The Banditos, right? Like you said, they're sitting in 18th. If they can get a win over one goal right now, looking at the standings, they're in last, right? So they're 0-9. So it's actually a big opportunity for Banditos, who right now sit at 2-7 with 4 points, right? They're 1 point behind Ball Hawks and 2 points behind the Nomads. The question, of course, is can we trust Banditos to take care of business and knock off one goal? I'm not sure. Despite their 0-9, I don't know if I trust them. I don't know if I trust these guys. They're a veteran team. They've been around and they have enough talent to get a W over, especially against a winless team. I just not totally sure if I trust them. Again, they've lost 5 straight. They're playing pretty much their worst football of the year right now.
Yeah. Well, at least they're playing one goal that's also struggling right at 0-9, and that's allowing 326 points. Like, I mean, if you're gonna ask for, I think you said they
This
have
is who you
one
want to
last
play.
game
Yeah,
of the
yeah.
season. If you're gonna ask to play versus someone in their last game of the season, I mean, you're kind of hoping it would probably be one goal, right? The team that's also struggling a bit, So,
Yeah.
yeah, it's kind of good to see.
I just think like it's going to be big for the quarterback. So Emile Taillefer, I believe he's actually a former McGill player as well. 26 touchdown passes, which is all right, not bad at all. Then it's 13 INTs, man. Like you can't be turning over the ball that much. So the question is he going to be? I mean, you're playing a one goal defense who, let's be honest, has not really been up to the task this year. They've let in 326 points, so they're tied. They're bottom five defense for sure. But 13 picks is still 13 picks, right? I mean, you throw one or two, one goal could be looking at their first W of the year. You never know.
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting. It's gonna be interesting again. We're gonna have to wait and see how this game ends. But again, I don't think it's gonna be again as you were saying. Like I don't trust Benito. The fact like how they've lost last five and right now they're just struggling. And you're right. It doesn't mean like the fact that they're playing one goal that's also struggling, but they're gonna have to show up and play if they're gonna want to win the game. They're just not gonna be able to just show up and like, oh, this is gonna be a cake.
That's it. All right, man. Let's go to Division 2. So hop over here quick, and I'll ask about half an hour or so we got. So looking at the schedule this week in Division 2, I'm going to say I will have an article coming out. I'm 3/4 of the way done. I'm going to try to have it out tomorrow night for you guys. So hopefully we're filming this on a Wednesday. So hopefully I'll have it out Wednesday for you guys. Sorry, Thursday for you guys. Worst case scenario, I promise by Friday there'll be a new Division 2 article out. So looking at the schedule. So one game taking place tonight. Les Verts Fall against KGP Legends. Guillaume Béland obviously playing in that game, like you mentioned in the podcast earlier, against KGP Legends. So that'll be tonight, 9 p.m. at Steady Bear.
Yeah, that's gonna be a good game. It's to be honest, Les Verts Fall, they could win that game. They're gonna get one step closer to make that playoff push. They're 3 and 4.
They have the last spot right now.
Sorry. Yeah,
they're tied for the last spot.
But it could be a very fast, slippery slope for them.
Yeah.
They play KGP Legends. If they lose that game, they play Shot O'Clock. They play versus my team, and again, we're playoff mode. We need to get a win, and then they play Idaho U to Pimps. So they could technically lose the next 3 games. If they drop 3 of those games, they definitely are going to get bumped out of playoff spots because you have Heart 8 that's just right under them. You have Shot O'Clock again right under them. You even have Party Crashers that they have 2 games left, one versus Shot O'Clock as well, and then KGP Legends. It's still open for them to win, to try to win 2 more games for Party Crashers. If they could finish 4 and 6, you never know what could happen. And then KGP is also a team right now. Right now they're looking pretty good at 6 points, but their schedule does again the easiest win that they're gonna have is Flag Slayer Corp. I think that should be an automatic W for them. For sure. But again, Les Verts Flow is going to be a tough game. Party Crash is going to be a tough game. Idaho U to Pimp is going to be a tough game. The Stoics going to be a tough game. And they're playing a lot of games, not back to back, but they play March 25th. So they play this Wednesday. Yeah. Then they play Tuesday. Then they play Wednesday. Then they play Saturday. And then they play Monday. So their last 4 games, they're going to play 4 games in, I want to say, 6 days. 4 games in 6 days is a lot, they're a deep roster, but Phil's arm is definitely gonna hurt, and he's also throwing competitive as well too. His back schedule, he has a lot of 5v5 competitive games as well too. So hopefully, I'm not sure if Will Seabag is on this team as well. He's also there, so maybe he'll get to sub in a bit, use his arm, so Phil's able to throw. At least I think he's probably going to throw 8 games in less than 2 weeks, which is a lot of games to throw for.
A lot of wear and tear. I score kept. Sorry.
No, go ahead.
No, I score kept the Monday night Saint Laurent Campy Boutin Party Crashers game. It was a phenomenal game, back and forth. It was action packed. Party Crashers, obviously, they have a ton of athletes, a ton of former tackle and current tackle players, and current and ex-CFL guys. Fred Dupuis, getting another start. He started the game, and Ezekiel Tate came in for a bit, and then went back to Fred, then back to Ezekiel. I gotta say, monster performance by Kevin's Clericus? Claricius, pardon me. Kevin's Claricius. Had a chance to talk to him briefly before the game. Yeah, this guy's a monster. 133 yards, 4 touchdown passes. He was leaping over everybody on Cappy Boutin to catch balls. And again, he's a long guy. He's tall. Two-point conversion as well. Same thing. I had a chance to ask Medley Joseph. I go, so is Fred Dupree going to be your quarterback the rest of the way? And at first he's like, I don't think so. And then he thought about it. He goes, yeah, maybe he might be. So I wanted to find out for the article, but as well for you guys at home on the podcast. So it could be possible Fred Dupree is a regular starting quarterback for Party Crashers because, like I said, he did get the start. Ezekiel did come in though. The offense though, it did look better with Ezekiel. I can't lie. Obviously he's able to buy more time with the rushes because they had Marc-Andre Reeves rushing. He was able to get around, and Emile Decoteau, who's usually the rusher for Campy Boutin, rushed at times. But Ezekiel was able to kind of make him look silly a bit. Mathieu Graton as well, rush. Both quarterbacks in Teed and Dupuis through INTs. I felt Fred's a good dude, man. I felt bad for him. Just the INTs that he threw, they weren't good INTs. It was like you could watch Fred Dupuis play. Great arm, good dude, strong arm. He's usually accurate. It's just he'll have like one or two passes that are just really off target, or he has no business throwing.
That's his.
Goes to the other team.
Yeah, that's his big. That has been his biggest issue in FPF. It's always those. Honestly. It's always that situation where like he's a great quarterback, but he throws really bad interceptions, and sometimes it's like key points, and it's just like he throws it, and it's not like a point where he's trying to like put it in a spot where only his guy is. It's an interception where it's like the ball. There's no reason why the ball should have went there. It's interceptions where he throws it, you're kind of looking, and it's like a gift given to the defense. You know?
Yeah.
So I think that's one of his biggest issues. I think that's the reason why Party Crashers, because they have a team in Division 2, they have a team in Division 1, they have a team in competitive 5v5. I think that's one of the biggest issues that they've had moving forward to get to that next level, because athlete wise, they're good. Like
they're the best team in this division on paper, like athletic wise.
Yeah,
it's not even close. I don't think
you can't tell me that they're missing anything that in that way, right? They have guys former CFL players, former NCAA players, former U Sport players, just going down the line like from top to bottom, right? And not guys that are kind of banged up, guys that are still competing at high levels, guys that are still to run. So a fact like you're looking at a team like this and they're struggling the way they are, and they score points, right? We talked about before, they score points. They're probably one of the highest offense team that score points. There's something missing. It's weird to say, but there's something. They scored 306 points so far this season in 8 games.
Yeah.
You have LeBron Charles at 291 at 9 games, Bruins at 275. Like they score points. The only team that scored more points than them is Idaho, which was Brady's having an insane year as well too, right? The games that he's done play. So, but it's not the factor of them not scoring points. Their defense allowed 275, so they do struggle a bit. But I think that's kind of normal sometimes when you put a bunch of starts together. A lot of miscommunication in zones and coverages, like you kind of see it. It's something that we always see, but there's no reason why this team should be 2-6. There's no reason at all.
So I'll tell you a big reason why they're 2-6 is, I saw it for myself. They struggle to tackle. They can't get off the field on 4th down, and they struggle to tackle. There was multiple times where they had the the Campy Boutin offense backed up. You had Jordanson Alexi. Great job by him, by the way. He ended up rushing Jordanson, and he only had 1 sack, but I can tell you, he pressured Marc-Andre Reeves the entire game. He had Marc-Andre Reeves double pumping, patting the ball and throwing off his back foot. And to Reeves' credit, he made some big time throws. Shout out to Denny Martel. He watches the show, made a ton of big catches. Serge Pilon Jr., of course, Hall of Famer, who made a ton of big catches. Joey Notaro, actually, I came away really impressed with his game, especially on the 2-point convos. He was really a key in their victory. But Alexi on Reeves was a pretty even matchup, right? And it's just they would back them up with a sack or even a penalty, and then it'd be like 3rd and long, or even a couple times 4th and long, and Reeves would just throw a pass over in the middle. I remember one time he threw a pass to Serge Pilon Jr. I want to say it was a 4th down play, and it was I want to say maybe 4th and 12 or something. Serge Pilon Jr. caught I think a 7-yard hook over the middle and literally ran backwards to a first down because there were so many missed tackles. Like this team cannot tackle. That's their biggest problem. They jump routes, they bat down balls that are too high in the air and that, and they're precise in terms of taking angles and that, and playing with leverage and with size. They have, right? Because like we said, they're the most athletic team. They have size, they have skill, and they have speed. On paper, they're the best lineup in this, and maybe even you can say in all of FPF, to be honest with you. But it's just they can't tackle, and that was it was like a big shining light on their defense, like the amount of missed tackles they got, which led to first downs and extending drives for Camping Boutin. That's the reason why I think their record is what it is, because you can be there to make the play. Even if it's tackle, you can be there to make the play, but if you can't bring the ball carrier down, same thing it is. If you can't pull the flag out,
Yeah,
it's not going to really do anything if you're there.
You know what? One of the biggest difference between Division 1, where they're undefeated, Division competitive 5v5, where they're almost pretty much undefeated. I think they lost one game, and Division 2.
Yeah, one game.
No, you know the biggest difference between those. Well, Division 1 and competitive, and Division 2. You know the biggest differences.
Jean-Lee?
No, first downs. First down is midfield.
Yeah.
So
true.
If you miss a tackle, right? I'm sure they rally. I'm
Mhm.
sure if they miss a tackle, their guy comes, tries to make a tackle, miss that. But
they miss it as well. There's rallying, but it's like 3 guys missing missing a ball carrier.
You could get away with that when a team has to drive 20 yards for a first down.
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
When a team only has to get 10 yards and you miss 2 tackles here, so instead of a 2-yard gain, you give a 7-yard gain, and it makes it so much easier to complete that first down. It's a big difference. I'm not saying they're Division 1 team and their competitive misses as much tackles, but it does change the factor where you're in a better situation if after a first down, the team has to drive 20 yards. So if you miss that tackle,
100%. They
don't get an extra first. They still have to drive and end up scoring, you know?
Yeah, no, I couldn't agree more. You're absolutely right on that. You're absolutely right. I'm just saying, like, whether it's 5v5 or 6v6, you still have to tackle, but you're right. Missing a tackle in 5v5 is not as bad versus missing tackles in 6v6, because every 10 yards, just besides winning it into the red zone, every 10 yards is a touchdown. And honestly, that's what I saw. Campy Boutin. There was times where, like, and you could tell, like, the players are even getting mad at each other for missing tackles on defense, and then on offense, again, just you got to take the simple play, like those interceptions, even from T. You threw an interception too that wasn't the greatest. It's sometimes football could be so simple. You have long, tall, athletic guys, throw the ball up. Quaysie, you got 4 touchdowns. I want to say at least 3 of them were just jump balls over guys. And that's all you have to do. Throw it up. I remember T rolled out he had the ball at about the 10-yard line, the Campy Boutin 10-yard line. He rolled all the way back to almost midfield. Threw off his back foot to the back of the end zone. Quaysie went up and made the grab. It was that easy. And he was covered by Marvin Renault, who I think is the tallest guy on Campy Boutin. You and I aren't tall, so Marvin, I think, he's a little taller than us. I want to say Marvin is maybe 5'10" at the most. I think, is the tallest guy on that Campy Boutin squad.
Yeah, it's a very short team. Week 13, lots of games. Shot o'clock versus Party Crashers. That's going to be a huge game for both teams. Campy Boutin versus Bruins. Again, Bruins are trying to stay in that first seed. They've dropped the last couple. Idaho, Utica Pimps versus Le Verge Full, depending how Le Verge Full play tonight. But again, that's going to be a huge game. Hard 8 versus Silent Ticklers. Again, two teams are used to each other. A huge game. KGP, depending how also goes tonight versus Flag Corp, like every single game going forward,
Huge
the only
this
game is
week. It's
probably
huge.
the only game that probably doesn't matter as much is LeBron Charge versus Flagler Corp. LeBron Charge, again, at the end of the day, they're going to probably finish the top 3, and Flagler Corp is pretty much
That's it.
they're just
So
playing
that's
for a
it. They
win.
need that game to make sure they stay up there in the standings, right? Because they're behind the Bruins. So
Yeah,
they have to win that
but I
game
mean,
for
like,
LeBron Trudge.
yeah, but I mean, like they like for playoff breakdown, there's no buys, so it's pretty
Yeah,
much seeding. But again, I don't think seeding is gonna matter as much because that 8 seed that's gonna be there, it's not gonna be a true 8 seed. It doesn't matter if it's KGP, doesn't matter if it's Le Verge Full, doesn't matter if it's Party Crashers, Shot O'Clock, Hard 8. Like that's not gonna be a true 8 seed that you usually see them in that situation. So again, number 1 seed's not going to matter. 2 seed as well. Like I don't feel like there's a clear winner in this division. I feel like if you don't play as good as you're supposed to play, you're going to lose, especially for playoffs. So it's going to be interesting to see how this week 13 kind of unfolds and who can see who's going to win, who's going to not going to win. Hard 8, Shot O'Clock, Party Crashers, and the Verge 4 are definitely teams that kind of look at because it's to a point where they need to win. They need to win games to stay alive to make that playoff push.
Yep. I will say a quick shout out. I know you talked about them earlier. Idaho Ute Pimps, 49-20 victory over the Stoics. Brady, Hennessy, and 17-21. So it's pretty solid. 251 yards, 7 touchdown passes. 3 INTs. I know Danik Colomb is top receiver, 103 yards, 2 touchdowns. Marvin Steinberg, shout out to him, 3 TDs in that game. Justin Way had a touchdown as a receiver, 2 INTs on defense. Obviously, those boys came to play, and now, like, you look at the standings right after that game. I don't know you to pin. They're making that climb, man. This team making that climb right now. They're tied for first with LeBron James and Bruins. They'll have 12 points. Stoics now, they dropped down to 6, right, with 8 points. Bruins got to watch out. Stoics got to watch out, right? They have KGP Legends behind them. KGP Legends has 6 points, just like they have 6 points, as do Liverage Phone Hard 8. Thing with the Stoics who have 8 points is every other team, KGP, 3 games in hand on the Stoics. KGP Legends, pardon me, Liverage Full, 1 game in hand on the Stoics, and Hard 8, 1 game in hand on the Stoics. So if you're the Stoics, man, they got to make sure they get the act together because they could get leapfrogged and miss the playoffs entirely, right? If they don't win out. Looking at the Stoics schedule quickly, right? Again, they got 2 games left on the docket. They have Silent Ticklers and KGP Legends right to close up the season. Like you said, big games this week, big games the rest of the way here for Division 2.
Yeah, for sure. No, if they lose those 2 games, it kind of means
they're done, I think.
They could get leapfrogged definitely by KGP with a win there. And then again, you're gonna have those bottom teams like Hard 8 and Shuttle Clock that are also trying to win games where both of those teams could finish 5-5 and Steelers could finish 4-6, and all of a sudden you're in a good 6th spot and then you finish in the 10th spot. So or the 9th spot, but you're out of playoffs. So literally you're saying it's gonna be there's still a lot of football left and everything. There's a lot of games that actually still count. Doesn't matter if the number 1 seed or you're the number 12 seed where Flags Corp. I mean, I'm sure they're gonna want to win at least 1 game this season. So still a lot of interesting things that still happen.
Let's go to Division 1. Yeah. So we're done in week 12. We're on to week 13. The action starts Saturday. So we got 4 games this week. Party Crashers still 8-0, right? Trying to keep their undefeated season alive. They have the infantry. So that's going to be a huge matchup at Stady Bear this Saturday. Next Wednesday, so a week from now, we got Fins Up and One Stop. And then the day after Thursday, so April 2nd, it's going to be One Stop in the infantry. So a big matchup right there. And the Vultures, again, I talked about it earlier when we were talking to Guillaume, right? Vultures losing 42-26 to the Braves last week, and they're looking to get back on track next Friday. So it's a little Friday night football. As Stady Bears, they take on Royaume Luminaire. So some really big matchups coming up here starting Saturday in Division 1.
Yeah, that was also a rematch between Vultures versus the Braves. So it's actually interesting to see. Ben didn't play bad at all. 19 for 31, 223, 4 touchdowns. They were missing their best. I want to say Vultures were missing their best defender, and you also could say receiver. Anthony Breezewell wasn't there, so I mean it's a huge loss for the Vultures not to play that game. I'm not going to say that if he was there, they're going to win that game, but I feel like it would have made a big difference if he did play
a little
that
closer.
game.
Yeah.
When you're playing the Braves, playing Gab Charles Champagne, James Drysdale, Jeremy Murphy, Guillaume, Béland, like those are guys are hard to cover. Phil Fahan as well as rushing. Like it's a stacked team, so you always want to. When you're playing versus the Braves, you want to be a full roster. You want to make sure all your big players are there. All your role players are there. You just want to make sure you're a full roster when you're playing a team like the Braves.
For sure. All right, so that does it for this episode 6v6 for FPF. Big shout out, big thank you to Guillaume Béland who came on to the pod again, clear the air a little bit, and also just talk about his excitement of being part of FPF again with Team Rocket, with Le Vergefall, with the Braves, just being FPF in general, right? His story so far in our amazing league, and obviously gearing up for 2028 Olympics with Team Canada. So again, thanks Guillaume for coming on. We really appreciate it. Hope you guys enjoyed. Again, we did all the 6v6. Episode 2 is coming up. We got the 5. We got a little bit of 5v5. I know Guillaume talked about that, about his Team Rocket squad in 5v5 co-ed. We have obviously women's 1, women's 2, women's 3, and the regular co-ed divisions in 5v5, intermediate and competitive. So stay tuned for that. Don't go anywhere. He's Quaysie. I'm Brent. We'll see you on the next episode. Peace.